Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto is in Nanyuki, where he is hosting a retreat for his cabinet. The 5-day inaugural meeting kicked off under the stewardship of Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. The retreat, called by the head of state, brings together high-ranking members of the executive arm of government, including cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, as well as his advisors on various issues. Among other things, the president and his cabinet is expected to deliberate the fifth administration's key priority areas, especially on economic transformation. This is Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi led the cabinet in its first retreat session in Nanyuki. The retreat is expected to discuss the high cost of living in the country while giving the government officials an opportunity to engage. Mudavadi said that the campaign period is over and asked leaders to work together in achieving the aspirations of Kenyans.
Sasa tunataka tuweke mambo ya siasa nyuma yetu, mambo ya kuongea kila wakati. Sasa wananchi nadhani wanataka waone tunatekeleza wajibu wetu vilivyo, vile tuliwaahidi. Kwa hivyo kongamano hili ni la muhimu sana, kwa sababu wale mawaziri ambao waliteuliwa pamoja na principal secretaries na wafanyikazi wengine wakuu wa kiserikali ambao wana jukumu la kuhakikisha kwamba gurudumu la Kenya Kwanza linasonga mbele, ni lazima wasikizane kwanza wenyewe.
Meanwhile, Road CS Kipchumba Murkomen and our water counterpart Alice Wahome said the meeting will be used to set strategies that will help address the country's economy and how the country's debt will be managed.
Hopefully for me, by Sunday, we all know where we are going, the overall vision of this government and the objective for the next 5 years. And then now each one of us attack or find a route to that end through your ministry and through the responsibility you have within your ministry. You know, we have a big challenge also of management of resources. My ministry has a lot of challenges in relation to pending bills because it's a capital intensive ministry. So the discussion here across board is in terms of how do we grow the economy and how do we manage debt and how do we raise resources for achieving these objectives.
Tuangalie vizuri kwa makini vile tutaweza kutekeleza maagano yetu na wananchi ambao walitupatia kura, ndio tujue programs na projects zitamalizika namna gani, kuelezewa vizuri serikali hufanya kazi namna gani, kwa sababu wengine wetu wametoka private sector, na kwa hivyo ni vizuri pia wajue serikali inafanya kazi namna gani.
And the Nyeri leaders are planning to table their list of projects which they want the government to prioritize as President William Ruto convenes a cabinet meeting in Nanyuki led by Nyeri Town MP Duncan Mine. The leaders said they want 3 mega dams to be constructed, 2 in Kieni constituency and 1 in Tetu constituency. Mine said that although the president and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua are coming for a 3-day cabinet meeting, they will push for a courtesy call where they will table their demands. And the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union announced suspended plans for industrial action in the wake of dialogue held with officials from the national and county government. The doctors had issued a strike notice that was to take effect today, lamenting failure by the government to implement a collective bargaining agreement signed 5 years ago.
The courts had already ordered for the government to implement this CBA last year, and it was to be implemented in total. This judgment came on 28th of October 2021. The same courts ordered only 6 days, which expired last year, and expired over 406 days. As we have already alluded, we extended another olive branch to the government and to the Kenyans to go into this engagement with goodwill, to ensure that the commitments that we were given yesterday in the discussion that we had with the Ministry of Health, with the COG, and with all their teams, that the collective bargaining agreement of 2017-2021 will be implemented in total, including the basic salary within the 60 days. That which give us the date of 5th of March 2023.
KMPDU Secretary General Dr. Dao Jetela confirmed the decision to call off the plant strike, arguing that the move will pave way for further talks, even though the two sides were yet to fully agree on the way forward on issues in contention. And Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja now says that he will not back down on his reform agenda, despite criticism from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on his planned removal of matatu operators from the city's central business district. Barely a week after a section of leaders from Mount Kenya region came out in defense of the Deputy President over his stance against reforms being taken by the governor, the embattled county boss says he won't relent as he is a man on a mission.
Change is difficult, but change is inevitable. We must change our city to be that city, that shining, jewel on the African continent. I thank the President. President William Ruto has been extremely supportive.
I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
You know, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not the borrowing, it's the stealing.
We've become actually a nation of thieves. The only thing we lack is an opportunity to steal.
The guys who quote the Bible and say I'm a Christian and all that, and you know they're thieves. Return what you have stolen 4 times. If you know that you have property or anything that you have stolen, just return and say, my God does not allow me to hold stolen things.
We are also a reflection of you, because you elect us. You know, we don't get into our office by ourselves. We are a reflection of the people who elect us.
We don't want to go to the streets. We have a constitution that enables us, assert our will.
When the legislature are now being taken as hostage by the executive for whatever reason, we are now bound by what they want us to do.
This is just outside the realms of reality. We have impunity written into the DNA of our political class.
How old were you when you learned that Jeshi Lokop is Jeshi Lawokov?
I can't say it very well.
And everyone knows. Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
No, you know, this wheelbarrow, how can you give people wheelbarrow? His party symbol is an umbrella. Is he distributing umbrellas in McQueen?
Have you been told if we don't lock between 10 to 4, this is what we're saving?
You try and call them, the same person who was in your house every day, because they know you are influential and you will give them votes. Call them after 1 month and see if they'll pick up their phone.
Don't tell your member of parliament that you want him to come and build a school, you want him to come and do a hospital. That is not the work of the member. Now that we have devolution in this country, this resources should go to those devolved units.
You have to have strong, independent institutions. And I mean, you have to have police who has the right to take the biggest town in the country and question, why did you do this and that, and send them to court if necessary.
Joel Nkericho, good morning.
Salama sana, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama kabisa. Mbunge wako ni nani?
Anaitwa Silvanus Martin, hapa ni Ainamoi.
Silvanus Martin, Ainamoi.
Yes. Sasa ile juma nampambia yeye nini? Amalize aende.
Oh wow.
Asante sana.
Spice FM.
It's getting hot in here.
Oh, everybody steals. It's better a thief who brings something small back. And I say to myself, there's no better thief. A thief is a thief, period.
All those bribes, how much they are getting per year, how much inconvenience they are causing, as much as you call it a small case, it's worth it to be convicted.
The truth is, we are a tribal nation. Because if we were not tribal, and I want to go back to this, you cannot continue walking around with a mug which is clean outside and it's rotten inside.
We have become a fuliza country. We have mortgaged our country because of debt.
You've got one chef working and the assistant chef wakati anatakana koroge unga nini hayuko.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Morning. It's Friday. What do these streets look like? Nairobi already starting to look pretty busy. It's getting into the weekend and it looks like it will be a busy one. This morning, a little bit of traffic is already starting to build up on the Thika Superhighway and it's getting onto Pangani, but it doesn't look like it'll be anything too painful. We're looking at the Southern Bypass. It looks all right. Connecting then coming off Mombasa Road. Likoni Road is already starting to build up as well. Outer Ring doesn't look too bad. And coming out of Westerns looks like it'll be no mean feat today. We'll keep an eye on things through the morning. Let us know what's going on where you are. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Let's keep things moving this morning.
SpiceFM, Malindi. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
Okay. Ndu, how are you?
Vipi?
Vipi yangu iko poa.
Vidze. I learned a new word and I like it very much.
Vidze.
Vidze. Yani vipi.
And then how do you respond?
Poa sana. Ndio.
Poa sana? Haya basi. Kama umesema ni sawa. Who are we? Whomst are we?
Whomst are thou? How are you, Lakini?
I'm very well. Happy Friday.
To you too.
Where?
Ni.
Hey. Friday. It's only Friday.
Hey. What do you want again? You want it to be what?
I don't even know, man.
Yes,
because Friday is still Friday.
And then it will be Saturday.
Something like that, you know. Something like that. Huh? Sitimuga?
Yes, please.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Yes.
Very good.
Now, and yourself, Eric?
I'm very well.
And yourself, Ndu?
Myself, I'm good.
Personally, you're fine.
Personally, me, myself, and I, we have talked to each other today, and we have all agreed.
We've agreed that you're fine.
You're a married daddy.
Things are good.
Yes.
Things are okay. Where?
There was something I wanted to tell you guys.
Tell us.
I've forgotten.
Please remember quickly. So that we
I remember like at 8:17. I can't remember, man, for the life of me.
Okay.
Sheesh.
But you remember there's something you wanted to say?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's your life that's interfering with it.
Yeah, man. I'll remember, don't worry.
Hapana jali.
Sindo?
No, these things. 2023 tumesema nini? Don't be bothered. Sumbuliwe na kitu
yoyote.
Kama kile ikumbuki ikae. Okay?
Kai.
Yeah. Hiya. Welcome to the Situation Room, everybody. Happy Friday. It's the 6th day of January this year, 2023. We will, doctors have been threatening to go on strike. Threat.
Revving.
This time around, is it the same old story?
Why? Don't joke with doctors, my friend. Doctors wakiamua. Don't joke.
The jokes aside, I'm taking the view.
Come to the mic. Why can't you hear you?
There's a sound reason why they have decided not to go to work, isn't it? So now that sound reason, this mic is also not very wise. When I bend, it should follow me. It can't just stay in the same place. If this is a perennial situation that we find ourselves in, should we also not consider asking that question perennially? is this something that is beyond resolving? Because they go to the Hajalipwa. Forget salary increase. Hajalipwa just haven't been paid.
What was the issue? Was the issue that they haven't been paid, or was the issue implementation of CBA?
The latter.
See, CBA is about being paid.
Hiyo wajua hata wao wakisign CBA wanakuanga wakijua. It is beyond resolving, that's what you say.
I'm wondering, because
get to a point where you are just signing a CBA where even you, that the likelihood of this CBA being implemented 100% is slim. So you also then negotiate a CBA that if you get 70% of it implemented,
you're all right.
You're all right. Higher. What is your proposal?
Give them that commission that they wanted.
It'll still be the same. Teachers have a commission.
Yes. But then you know who you're dealing with now. It's not them cancelling, constantly hassling with the county government or what. You have a commission that deals with it. Let the commission deal with it. Yes. See, they wanted a commission.
Yes.
Mtoto Shameli Wembe.
Yes.
Mpe. Yes.
The Secretary General of the Doctors Union will be joining us at 8 o'clock today to have that conversation, right? So, pose all those questions to him when he comes. His name is Dr. Davji. What's his name?
Atela.
Yes. Dr. Atela will be with us at 8 a.m. Keep it here for that. What's happening globally with regards to COVID-19?
Let's look at Kenya's numbers first, where 47 people tested positive from a sample size of 729. That's about 5%, just under 5% in terms of positivity rate. When the day before that, we had 2 cases previously, 1 case. We're looking at 35 of these cases for the first time in a long time being outside of Nairobi, specifically in Kisumu. 35 cases in Kisumu, 4 in Nairobi, 4 in Uasin Gishu, 2 in Nakuru, and Nyeri and Siaya had 1 case each. Looking at other stories, Kenya is said to have missed its jab target by 4 million doses. So we wanted at least 4 million more than have currently been jabbed to be jabbed. So the question is, these 4 million jabs, either they are booster jabs,
jab number 1 or jab number 2,
or 2. This is a mix of the 2. And so the question is, why haven't they been done? Availability of jabs is not an issue anymore because they seem to be everywhere, but people are not taking them up, and so it continues to be the clarion call from the Ministry of Health: come out and get jabbed.
Are they really everywhere?
Look.
Everywhere means what?
It's what we are told, that if you go to a county...
You go to a health facility and say, I want
a COVID-19 vaccine, you will get one.
And when you say health facility, is it down to the point, to the dispensary?
I don't think so. The communication that comes from the Ministry of Health is that they're widely available at any level health facility. But the truth of the matter is that if you went to a local dispensary, you probably will not be able to get one. You would need to then go to a higher level facility to be able to get a COVID jab.
You tell me, when someone tells you it's widely available, what have they actually told you?
Nothing really, but it sounds nice, isn't it? When you say it's widely available.
Until
the feeling that you can walk into a health facility and get the jab, right?
That is what widely would mean, because that's why I ask about the dispensary. That's the single smallest unit.
But unfortunately, if you were to go into your dispensary here in Embakasi, this is what I'm saying, you probably would not get it. You would need to go then to a higher level facility.
So then it is not widely distributed.
Exactly. Never from the beginning has it been, when we heard the Ministry of Health told us this. But the CS has been very clear that in terms of measures, the only thing that they're going to harp on is get vaccinated. So if that's the one measure that you have in place, then, logic would then demand that you have it widely available.
The thing about health facilities is that they are peopled by health specialists, where a health specialist starts from the very basic foundation. A health assistant going onwards. Now, the people who administer the jab are nurses, and you will find nurses even in a dispensary.
Yes, you would.
So, and they are all trained. It's not as though we have some other trainings that you go to if you want to be able to be authorized to vaccinate people with a COVID vaccine. No.
City, you don't remember when we're making noise here? Some of the money that was spent COVID-wise was the training of medical staff around the country to administer these vaccines. You don't remember?
No. I get that bit. This is a new vaccine. This is what you need to do. Blah blah blah. It's called retraining.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That is perfectly understandable. But I'm saying the ability for the health personnel that you find in even the smallest of the units, they are already trained in the fundamentals, and that additional training. You see, that specialized group of people who are training these ones, the understanding of training is so that those who are trained can also train others. That's how it works.
Right. Voila. Let me tell you what's happening in China,
Please do.
where a celebrity death now sparks fears over death toll. The growing number of Chinese public figures whose deaths are being made public is prompting people to question the official COVID death toll. People being Chinese. The death of Chu Lanlan, have you heard of her? She's a famous Chinese opera singer. Actually, she does the do, or she did the do. So she died last month, right? And given that she was so young, people wondered, why then? Did she have comorbidities? Why did she die? She died of COVID, right? Their family said that they were saddened by her abrupt departure, but did not give details of her death.
How old was she again?
40. China scrapped its strict zero COVID policy in December and has seen a rapid surge of infections and deaths, hers being one of them. Now, only those who die from respiratory illness, such as pneumonia, are counted. Wednesday, we heard that the World Health Organization said that China is mis- and underrepresenting their numbers of COVID deaths. But the deaths of Chu Lanlan and others is sparking speculation about greater losses than those reported on official accounts. According to the specialist website Opera Wire, Chu Lanlan was she specialized in the Peking opera, and she was also involved in charitable cases. On New Year's Day, the death of another celebrity and actor devastated many. And these are also said to be COVID deaths. And so now people are saying, hang on a minute. If we have people dying and we're not being given the details, then perhaps it's true what the World Health Organization, that maybe our government actually is mis- and underrepresenting the true case of COVID in the country. What they're going to do about it, we do not know. But that is what it looks like for now.
Okay. 22 minutes after 6. All right, we are live streaming the show. Do like that. Let us know where you're tuned in from. It's still Happy New Year season, so please, if you haven't actually been online this whole week, get online now on our Facebook page or our Twitter handle and tell us Happy New Year, guys. And we'll also tell you Happy New Year wherever you're tuned in from. Let's take a look at the weather forecast.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The adults in the room.
He's promiscuous or he's polygamous. We need to get over ourselves.
So I should always know the man that marries me, I know there'll be other women.
Yes.
The relationship you have with yourself is the foundation of the relationships you will have with other people.
Things that we never talk about. 3 things. Stop, breathe, and relax.
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not.
Tune into Adults in the Room
every Monday to Friday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
The adults in the room will help you stay winning. Only on 94.4 SpiceFM, Nairobi.
Partly cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. 15 degrees. It's not that cold, Ednah. Highs of 26 and lows of 15. It's cloudy at 13 in Nakuru. Highs of 27. And we'll see highs of 25 in a mostly cloudy Nyeri at 10. It's 12 degrees and cloudy in Eldoret. Highs of 24 and lows of 11. And it's 26 and cloudy in Mombasa. We'll go to highs of 32 into Friday. We'll see highs of 32 as well in Malindi, where it's cloudy at 26. 18 and mostly cloudy conditions in Kisumu. Highs of 30 and lows of 17. And we'll see highs of 30 in Kakamega, where it's currently cloudy at 14. 17 and cloudy in Kampala, highs of 29 and highs of 32 in a partly sunny Dar es Salaam at 27. It's 15 and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 22 and lows of 11, while in Lagos it's 24 degrees going to highs of 33. 30 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kinshasa at 22. Looking into afternoon Friday, Beijing is sunny at 4 with highs of 8. It'll come down to lows of -9. It's 11 degrees and cloudy in Paris this morning. We'll see highs of 13 and lows of 6. And we'll see highs of 12 and lows of 11 in a cloudy London. It's 7 and clear Thursday night in New York. Coming into Friday, highs of 12 and lows of 6.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM,
It's 25
Nairobi.
minutes after 6, so people are online, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Peter Wagongo says, good morning, Eric, Ndu and CT. Happy to hear your great voices. He says the city centre is okay.
It's okay.
To know?
Good.
It's okay. Glad to know. Michael Gitao, Happy New Year, folks. He has listened to you, following instructions. So now, see you say Happy New Year to him.
Happy New Year
to you.
Well done.
Who is it? Michael.
Michael Gitao.
Okay.
Stanley says, good morning, team. Happy New Year from Juja Farm, a.k.a. Mount Kilimambogo View. Must be a fantastic view this time of the morning. Paul Ntaia says, good morning from Narok East. And good morning and happy Friday. Mombasa is tuned in. That's where Robert is. Ondicho is in the place where you went to school, Eric. He's in Mangu. And he says, good morning to you. Cleophas Anam says, good morning, lady and gentlemen. Kolwen in Nyakachi sub-county, already in the room. Jorogen Boro says, good morning from Thika. And the Great Wall of Kino is where Odero is. And Beatrice Ngenya says, good morning to you. We can see you. Everybody tuning in this morning. Karibuni sana.
Welcome, everybody.
Can I add one more? There's a gentleman whom I came across at Chandrana Supermarket at Yaya.
Specifically.
By the name of, Brian Nyota. Came out to greet me and he told me to greet the TV. He said, say hi to Ndu, got the names right. And Eric Latif.
Fantastic.
So, Brian Nyota sends greetings.
Brian, good morning.
Asante sana,
Thank you
Brian.
very
Good
much.
morning and Happy New Year. Atiako, Chandarana. Yeah.
Specifically,
yes.
please.
Specifically.
Right. Okay, add one more. Give us the day's proverb.
Right. There's a little detail, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Anyone who plants trees before they die has not lived in vain.
I must be an environmentalist. And which country is this from?
Same country.
Bini?
Yeah, we decided that we are going to be uttering proverbs for the whole week. This thing of mixing countries in the middle of the week, even I get confused sometimes. So one country per week.
No
So today is the end
of Benin, the empire.
No, it's not the empire. It's the end of the proverbs. You people.
Anyone who plants trees before they die
has not lived in vain.
Has not lived in vain.
No, they haven't. The trees will live after them.
All right.
That is, if some idiot doesn't cut them down and turn them into charcoal or firewood.
I know.
Which is still okay. So you grow trees.
So that they can become charcoal.
Yeah.
Do some more.
Can use them. Let's look at the paper headlines. What's on the front pages?
President makes shock revelations. Hey. That's on the front page of the Standard. We'll tell you about those shock revelations later. Final journey for the Pope Benedict XVI.
Yeah.
The coffin of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI is carried into St. Peter's Basilica, where he was laid to rest in the former tomb of Pope John Paul II underneath the basilica yesterday. He prays for his departed predecessor. That's Pope Francis, who's the current Pope. So that was an interesting service to watch. Prince Harry and his wife are doing things,
What are they doing now?
They seem to be irritating people left, right, and center. Revelations and saying, look, who did I shout at? Who blasted me? La, la, la.
They're looking for money. They're no longer getting money from there.
And
They're not getting money from the crown.
So all this talk about them doing this, and the other, there are people who are concerned about, I think.
It would appear so.
Yes.
I don't know that countries have moved in terms of geography just because of this, but people are quite concerned about this.
Yes.
And why are they not getting money from?
Because they've decided to leave their duties as senior members of the royal family, and so.
Well, he's not the first person to go that route.
No. So there's a bit of a kerfuffle.
Yes.
The crown. So, it continues, and they're writing books and memoirs and,
There's a great-grandfather
Netflix,
of his
blah, blah.
who also pulled a similar stunt.
So there's a thing there. Counties no to proposal by Treasury. We'll look at that as well. Let's look on front page of The Nation. Ruto's ambitious economic targets. We saw people arriving yesterday at this place.
Fairmont Mount Kenya Safari Club.
Thank you very much. And, you know, there's Ruto with that's a very nice smile he's got there, President Ruto, on the front page of the Nation. There's also a story about the boost for healthcare in plan for 20,000 jobs. And then Kalonzo says, I have done enough for Raila. It's his turn to back me. Well, all right, good luck with that. Doctors have called off their strike. Okay, and said, we'll talk. Okay, not surprising, but okay.
They're ready to talk, huh?
Yeah, they're ready to talk.
Oh. What's on the Star?
That is the Star newspaper. Okay. Police killed people in container. Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you, Eric. Let me start again. Headline. Police killed people in container, Ruto. Officers captured their victims and tortured them. Tortured them for days before execution. Headline. Then the top right-hand corner, Siasa. Today's Friday.
Yeah.
The driving force behind DP Gachagua Sakaja squabble. Is there a squabble?
Are they still squabbling?
I don't know.
Okay.
Are they still squabbling? Were they squabbling?
Were they squabbling even?
All right. Okay. Then, Business Daily. Safaricom drops Uhuru ally in board shake-up. Telco's lawyer Adil Kawaja as new director. A new chairman will be elected in the coming weeks. Yes.
Yes. Yes, huh?
Yes.
Sour.
Sour.
Then let's take a break. Let's look at traffic. We will look at the newspaper stories in detail shortly. Good morning, 28 minutes to 7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get ready to fall in love with the new Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, featuring intelligent 360 audio which makes the sound feel more realistic than ever before. Not only that, they can feature enhanced head tracking, making every movement stay in sync so you get an immersive experience. Designed to fit comfortably, the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro will also help you stay connected by automatically popping up on your Samsung Galaxy devices, and with just a tap, you can connect. As simple as that. Available in all select Samsung stores countrywide.
Yolanda Mulo and DJ Absolute. When the gang is together, you know it's
Sugar and Spice.
Great vibes, conversations, a lot of humor. I like to say we don't give an F, we give 3 Fs.
You and I are in this relationship, so it is me to tell you who we are.
When you ask a chick, how many guys have you been with? She's like, including you. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock. If I were you, I'd tune in to SpiceFM 94.4.
I want you on my team.
So does everybody else.
It's a few minutes after 6:30, and we're not looking at too much in terms of traffic on the roads this morning. There was that little rumbling earlier on a few minutes ago, but it looks like it's going to be an easy Friday. Coming off of Thika Superhighway, a little bit of traffic as you get just past that Pangani underpass and then connecting with Muranga Road. That's just about the size of it from what we are seeing right now. Coming off of Waiyaki Way, and that's just going to connect from Ring Road Westlands and also James Gishuru. Not much in terms of a hold up there. Out then from the Thika Superhighway, also coming off of Kiambu Road, looks pretty good from where we're looking at it. Jogo Road also not packing up either, and so it might just be an easy morning. As more people get out, we'll let you know what it looks like, but for now you should be able to get where you're going without a hold up in any way, shape or form. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings.
Hiya, bossy.
94
to 7. Where do you want to start?
the thing that is shocking people, according to this headline on Standard, President makes shock revelations from plot to rope the military into political transition to hiving off the Galana Kulalu land to individuals. Ruto bears it all. And this is now information coming from the interview that he did. But just some interesting points. Transition and Bomas. The military was roped into the scheme, he said, to overturn the will of the people. The IEBC chair was threatened, and he said there's a probe that is coming. So watch out for that. State capture. Past regime had waived taxes for their own businesses. They had subdivided the Galana and they threatened independent offices. Extrajudicial killings, which we talked about in depth yesterday. President reveals he fired the former DCI boss Kinosi over killings and vowed to end the rot in the police service. Sabotage. Regime overran the SGR's good intentions, sabotaged TVET reforms and implemented hot air unga subsidy. So he said he is now coming to overturn all of these things. All right, so there was a lot going on. It had been captured completely and you would have never known. He also says, and this is interesting, there's been a lot of speculation about why we are seeing a lot of these cases that had been brought that seem to be airtight in terms of evidence, that why are we seeing the collapse of these cases? President Ruto is saying he has absolutely nothing to do with this. This is carried on page 5. And he says, the story says, first it was Rigathi Gachagwa's graft case that was suddenly dropped after jointly with William Ruto then ascending to power following the hotly contested polls. He had previously been implicated in the 7.4 billion shilling graft case involving 9 others, a matter that put him in the crosshairs of former President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime. But shortly after being sworn in, the DPP withdrew the case against the deputy president, and the court okayed the same in December last year. The anti-corruption court allowed an application to withdraw charges against him, and the DPP cited lack of evidence, which previously he had said he did what? He had. The agency had earlier claimed that 202 million shillings was proceeds of corruption and demanded that the money be surrendered to the state. But the Assets Recovery Authority would later in court filings claim that they were not in the position and some of its officers had misled the High Court, its own officers. The second to get lucky was Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jumwa, and her 19 million graft case was dropped in October last year, and she had been accused of embezzling CDF funds. That was dropped. All of this, blah, blah. Now, the president in his interview said, I had nothing to do with the cases that were dropped by the DPP, Nuruddin Haji, against not only the 3 CSs, but any other case. I have not made any phone call to his office requesting a drop in any case.
Okay.
So, you people should stop your speculation. He had nothing to do with it.
So.
In fact, he said, furthermore, I want a check on us. That is why I'm insisting on the creation of the office of the official opposition. I'm insisting on such things.
Of course you are.
So, don't call my name anyhow.
Okay.
I didn't do it.
Okay.
So.
I don't think he did it.
Yeah, no, he's told you he didn't.
We were not suspecting him.
We're not even speculating anything. No.
Nope. Higher. Now, let me tell you something that is out of Nairobi into the land of tea factories. Okay. So, smallholder tea factories, for a long time, they used to use oil-powered boilers for their operations, and those operations were for withering and drying tea leaves. Okay. Then they stopped using now those oil-powered boilers. They started using firewood. Now, firewood means that you need a constant supply of firewood, which means trees.
Yep.
Which means you need to keep buying trees.
Or planting.
So the strategy then was devised that how about tea factories start planting their own trees and growing their own trees? Sounds brilliant, doesn't it?
It does.
But then the thing is, many of these smallholder tea factories went and bought land in semi-arid areas, and they planted fast-growing eucalyptus trees. Now, those things are not growing.
Yes. Did you see the place was semi-arid?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And it's eucalyptus. Eucalyptus actually likes water.
It needs water.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tea factories are now grappling with the whole issue of we've got to sell these pieces of land.
Yes.
And we cannot really sell them for how much we bought them for. We'll make money. I don't know why, but it tells you that the price at which they bought this land was inflated at the point. Higher. Yesterday, 3 KTDA factories became the latest to separately re-invite bids for purchase of such land. Matara TF, which is in Gatundu North in Kiambu County, advertised for some 106.4 acres at Karai village in Naivasha, Nakuru County. Nyeri's Shingati factory invited bids for some 86 acres in Segera in Munyaka area of Laikipia County. Embu's Rokerere factory invited bids for some 71 acres at Rueka area in the same county. The earlier bids by some of the factories are said to have been unresponsive and far below the original purchase prices. On November 17th last year, Ndema factory in Kirinyaga floated bids for its 200 acres in Kihato area in Laikipia County. On the same day, some 100 acres in Maruriri area in Bere, Embu, was advertised for sale by Mununga factory, which is also in Kirinyaga County. Directors of some of these factories said although the factory shareholders had approved the sale of the forestry plots, the biggest hindrance was getting bids that would recoup the initial cost, leave alone making any markups. Reps of farmers of one factory in Muranga County were shocked recently when a tour of some of their land investment in the neighboring Nyandarua County revealed sheer plunder of their proceeds. One of the farm belonging to our factory that was visited and measured over 150 acres was a pure city. One of the farm belonging to our factory that we visited and measured over 150 acres was a pure rocky outcrop with no soil to plant any tree, not even acacia.
It would appear you're not the only victim, my friend.
You know,
at Gadodhi factory in Nyeri, which purchased 3 farms totaling 140 acres in Muiga, Pesi in Nyandarua, and Kiawara in Laikipia, a director said the last farm will soon be up for sale because it's not suitable for growing wood as it's in a dry area and it's rocky.
Muiga, which part of Muiga is rocky?
The other side of Muiga.
Sorry.
Yeah?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When they were buying this land, have you finished?
There's more, but you can ask the question.
No, finish the story, then I can ask the question.
Okay, where else did they buy land?
Laikipia. Mostly this
Chalbi
is
Forest?
Nyandarua,
Chalbi Desert?
Nyandarua and Laikipia.
So this was the leeward side of the...
Yes. It's basically areas. So directors would come together and say, so we need to buy land. We have found 100 acres somewhere. They come and tell shareholders, we found 100 acres. They go and purchase that piece of land. And they say, we'll start growing. But of course, it is a rocky outcrop. No effort was actually ever made into trying to convert this thing into being of productive use. So 10, 15 years down the road, the factories are still buying firewood from elsewhere. And their own trees have not grown. So now they have to sell.
And they can't convert the rocks into wood.
And they can't convert the rocks into wood.
Fortunately, not immediately.
Ask.
Okay. Even as we are like this, information sometimes passes your ears. Shwa, shwa. And you know, eucalyptus needs water.
Yeah.
It needs copious amounts in order for it to survive. Now, these fellas, obviously, by the time they knew that they needed to plant more trees in order to be able to get a sustainable source of firewood, they're not just your run-of-the-mill guy. They knew environmentally what it meant. So do you mean to tell me then that as they planted these trees in these semi-arid areas, they did not know that the yield would not be sufficient? They didn't know?
Who?
The ones who planted the factories.
Yeah.
They didn't know.
Well, let's assume they didn't know.
Oh, okay. So it's just it could just be
an honest
plain honest ignorance here.
Yes.
We didn't expect that we would plant eucalyptus in a semi-arid area and it would not yield for us what we wanted. Okay, that was my question. Okay, so
and ignorance here is supposed to be what, a defense?
sector.
Yeah.
How again do you want to explain it now?
There's some areas
where
where they look semi-arid, but then you're seeing those two
think that
trees
there's
growing.
some-
The reason why I asked the question.
They could be evergreen trees, not necessarily.
Yes. There is a department of government called forestry.
Yep.
They even have a research wing.
Yes.
They will tell you what grows where.
In fact, they will go with you.
And they will
tell
give you the
and they'll even give
seedlings.
you the sample. And
Yes.
say, "Plant this one." That's what I'm asking now.
Do a trisex here with this one and see how it works.
The amount of wood you're looking for is not the one you're going to use for your
And
barbecue.
they will also tell you what sort of tree would be useful as firewood. This thing of eucalyptus planting everywhere, as though it was a panacea, it's the one which solves all problems. There is no excuse.
That's why I'm asking.
None whatsoever. What we are seeing here is a scheme.
Yep.
And it's a scheme that has become commonplace in this country.
This is Kenya.
When, for instance, you hear infrastructure, sit back.
And wait.
Sit back and wait, because you are going to be told costs that will make your head swim. Okay? When you hear land buying, again, anything you hear that has to do with something being bought, some building being put up, be prepared. It's never
it's so
quite
unfortunate.
It is, isn't it? Just
it is really, really, really annoying, because you can see it's not just one. If it was one factory, then you could say these directors of this factory were just the bad apples. But we're talking about many factories. Many factories, and they did not buy 2 acres of land, it's hundreds of acres of land. And in different places, like this particular one that had Gadhuri Tea Factory in Nyeri, it had 3 separate farms, totaling 140, 68 acres in Moiga, 30 acres in Nyandarua, in Penny, 42 acres in Kiawara, Laikipia, and none of them was productive.
How is that?
I'm sorry. That's why I'm asking. I don't understand.
It was just, and that's why the former CS for Agriculture, Peter Munya, had ordered a probe into this and said, look, investigate how these decisions were being made. Because you see, these directors of KTDA, remember the directors of KTDA of the small tea factories are the ones who elect the directors of KTDA.
Yes, they're the ones who elect them.
So the national KTDA, some of those directors could have been involved. And that's why the current KTDA Holdings chairman, David Ishoho, is saying the previous team of directors is to blame for the mess, admitting that some of these issues identified by forensic audits at the factories ordered by the government last year. The 2 main problems identified with the land deals was that previous directors of some factories had purchased land in climatic zones where fuel wood trees could not be grown commercially, or had purchased completely rocky plots. Deliberately, knowing that it's just a land grab. And now as they try to sell those pieces of land, the bids are low and they're wondering, oh my goodness. It's just... However, there's some good story. 1,512 acres of Mwengiki Farm near Timau, which are owned by Kionyo, Kinoro, Weru, Gidongo and Imenti factories, and Kegoi and Michimikuru factories, invested in their separate smaller plantations at Kimongoro and Amugawa farms, and those ones are doing very well. They appear to have invested widely. They have recouped their costs. Some factories actually decided, look, guys, we are going to do this. We will plant the trees, we will get.
One must wonder.
In Kenya. In Kenya.
Crazy.
City.
Well, I'm listening to what you're saying because I'm looking at a story that bears a similar theme. It's in the Business Daily. Taxpayers will spend 24.8 billion on Nairobi Expressway.
24 billion?
24.8 billion on Nairobi Expressway.
Which expressway?
Please read the story.
Yes.
Please.
Another one.
Yes.
Please.
I didn't read the story, so that you hear it. The bits I don't understand, but
Okay.
taxpayers will spend 24.8 billion on the Nairobi Expressway, which was essentially sold as a privately funded road, the Treasury has disclosed. Okay. The money outlay revealed in the Treasury documents is more than the budget of the National Southern Bypass or Nairobi Western Bypass, which cost taxpayers a total of 24.2 billion and 24.5 billion respectively. Motorists are already paying toll fees as much as 417 shillings to use the road, and the expenditure is set to raise questions of possible double taxation.
So, continue.
While the government's financial burden on privately built projects like the 27.4-kilometer highway is expected to be minimal, the report from Treasury shows that by the end of June last year, it had released a total of 5.93 billion for the double-decker road, with outstanding balance of 18.9 billion to be released later.
I don't understand.
That's why I said the section I don't understand. Privately funded Treasury is releasing money. Let me just continue.
Yeah, we'll continue.
Yes.
Get to a point where we see where is the money going. Is it?
And for what?
Is it going to the Expressway company or is it for repairs of other?
Some of it's for repair. Some of it is supposed to repay for people who owned land. Now, I don't know who owned land on the expressway, but let me just read so that you understand.
Okay.
The Nairobi Expressway, which links Westlands to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, was built by a Chinese contractor on a public-private partnership model at the cost of 88 billion.
That was the quoted cost.
Yes.
Not the completed cost.
Nope.
They need to tell us how much it is.
No. We were told it's going to cost 88 billion. That's what we were told. Okay? And of interest, after 27 years, the Chinese firm is expected to earn a total of 106.8 billion profit. Okay, that's 27 years down the line.
Okay.
The Treasury PS, Chris Kipto, did not respond to our queries on the expenditure, which is higher than the 15.1 billion the former Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia said the government had spent the 15.1 billion on land compensation, and transfer of such utilities as water pipes, electric lines and poles, and fiber optics. The Ministry of Water and Sanitation was one of the beneficiaries of the additional budget allocation on the highway. I draw your attention to the additional 7.76 billion budget to the ministry that the ministry is meant for relocation of water and sewage works ahead of the construction of the expressway, said the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, Kimani Ichung'wah. The government also set aside 9 billion to rehabilitate sections of the old Mombasa road which were damaged by the contractor.
Okay.
So essentially, all the other monies are supposed to be for relocating, drainage. And
so it's those ones.
But these were supposed to be done before the road was built, Chief.
Okay. So at whose cost? So probably that's the thing, eh? So the government's contribution to this was you relocate all these things, give me empty piece of land, I build a road.
This usually is how it is done. There's a role the government plays. For instance, even if I know this from the point of view of construction of, say, houses, the government is the one which takes the charge of ensuring that the issues to do with water,
it's unencumbered.
Yes. Right. That's government work.
So this is where the money then is going.
This is where we are being told the money probably went.
Did they give a time frame as to when these things will be done and completed?
Why would they give you a time frame?
Oh, they've done in the past. What will stop them from doing this again?
You haven't made enough noise to be told about the time frame.
Okay, so how much was it again? 24 point what?
8 billion.
Oh, wonderful.
This is, of course, in addition to the other 9 billion.
Oh, okay. The 9 billion which they said they released before,
Yes.
not seen the road being done. We're seeing patches of things happening. I don't know if
It
it's...
turns out that they never actually released that money.
Oh, get out.
No, it was set aside, but...
CS Macharia just talked about it, but the contract was never awarded.
To anybody for anything.
Paperwork was never done.
So the 9 billion is part of this 24.8 billion you speak of. It's not. It's separate money.
This is separate.
Wonderful.
That's separate completely.
See, that is for moving, sewer.
24.9 billion
power lines.
is, yes, some serious moving of sewer, pipeline, water, blah, 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 infrastructure,
and destroying everything.
electricity, and creating potholes, that sort of thing. Yes.
So we might have it just like this, for the next 10 years.
Now, the 9 billion is for repairing the potholes that were created when this 24 billion had been allocated for fixing all these things, blah, 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 blah.
Imagine.
You would assume, surely, if you're going to relocate infrastructure, surely, should you not then ensure that the surface is as you found it?
You should.
So, is this the opportunity for you to now allocate another 9 billion to set right the thing that was set wrong when you were relocating? Now, this is why I dovetail this story to that issue of buying semi-arid land in the Chalbi Desert so that you can grow trees.
Completely.
You can grow the tree that needs the most moisture.
Yes, in a place where that moisture does not exist. Yes.
Oh, more.
Why?
It's the things of Houdini, man.
Why? Hi, tell us another one.
You could go to jail for disinheriting your sister. Are you ready? So on page 14 of The Nation, courts have expressed some interesting things. Just a minute. I tell you in a minute.
Why are they saying these scary things to people?
Why? Do you have plans to disinherit your sister?
No, why jail?
Is there a better place? Hanging? Such thing? Or how? Let me tell you. Men, you've been warned against disinheriting your sisters. The High Court has warned men against disinheriting their sisters by denying them a share of their parents' assets, terming it a criminal offence, punishable with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year, or a fine, or both. So the practice previously has been your sisters, it was the assumption that they're going to go off and get married and then partake in their partner's inheritance on the other side, blah, blah, isn't it? The court is saying there's nothing like that. They will partake, doesn't matter, married or not. The court has also expressed displeasure over an emerging trend in succession cases where persons seeking to be administrators of an estate fail to disclose to court the names of the surviving children and spouse. Justice William Musyoka said Section 51 2G of the Law of Succession Act requires disclosure of every surviving member of the family of the deceased person, whether that individual will eventually take a share in the estate or not. We need to know that they exist. Thwarting a US-based man's attempt to disinherit his 4 sisters by denying them a share of their mother's 30 acres in Kakamega, the judge stated that the police and the Director of Public Prosecution should step in to curb the disinheritance menace within families. He warned that giving a court false information concerning survivors of a dead person in succession process and applications for administration of the estate is a criminal offence. The judge said the effect of the non-disclosure is that those not disclosed would not be considered at distribution. The shares due to them would go to those disclosed, meaning that they would be disinherited. The importance of making a full and frank disclosure in these applications is underscored in Section 52 of the Law of Succession Act, which makes it an offence to willfully or recklessly make a statement which is false. He made the remarks while delivering judgment on a succession case involving the case of Monica Wanjiru Musasia, who died in 1992 and was survived by 7 children, 3 daughters and 4 sons. One of the sons, Victor Kelonye, filed a petition in court in 2005 seeking to become the administrator of the estate, comprising 2 land parcels. He admitted at the oral hearing of the case that he did not disclose the daughters, ostensibly as their father, who died in 2013, had said they would not be given anything. He said that his father had directed that the female children be left out of the distribution. He conceded that he did not inform his brothers and sisters that he was petitioning for registration. The survivors had been listed as himself, Musa Musasia, Madeline Ambuga, and Peter Legose. A grant for estate administration was duly made on January 9th, 2006, and the same was confirmed by court in 2011. So they went through the whole process, and the judge said, sorry.
Paul.
Not happening. Your sisters will get part of this as well, because now we are saying you didn't disclose them. Problem number 1. Number 2, the law actually the law states now that you need to stop this behavior of not including your sisters, because we'll jail you, fine you, or both.
Boy. Okay, it's important. It's important. Hey, are you ready for this Sunday's premiere of The Last Door by John Allan Namu, which is an investigative series on those crimes, unresolved crimes that we know about that have taken place in this country, and we just don't know what happened. So John Allan Namu was here yesterday and he's told us about how he started working on this series from around June last year. They'll be premiering on Maisha Magic Plus this Sunday, 8 p.m. Get ready for that and upgrade your DSTV. If you don't have Maisha Magic Plus, just go and upgrade your DSTV. DSTV, it's your moment. This Sunday, 8 p.m. Then, it's also school fees season, and step up and shine
with Kiwi. Walk into the supermarket, buy your Kiwi black shoe polish, and then once you open it, under the lid is a code. That code will be sent to when you dial *459*5#. You get instant airtime or bundles and a chance to enter into the draw to win 35,000 shillings that goes towards school fees. Do it now. Could be you winning in the week coming.
Oh, yeah, completely. Keep it here for more conversations coming up. So we know there were by-elections taking place yesterday in Kandara constituency, in Garissa Township, and also where else? In Elgeyo-Marakwet County. To get a new...
Yes.
Kandara constituency. Yes. Those three have taken place, and I think the results are out. We already know that in Elgeyo-Marakwet, winner, the second closest, has already conceded and said, congratulations. We'll tell you more about that. 8:07 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto is in Nanyuki, where he is hosting a retreat for his cabinet. The retreat, called by the head of state, brings together high-ranking members of the executive arm of government, including cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, as well as his advisors on various issues. Among other things, the president and his cabinet is expected to deliberate the fifth administration's key priority areas, especially on economic transformation. This is Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi led cabinet in its first retreat session in Nanyuki. The retreat is expected to discuss the high cost of living in the country while giving the government officials an opportunity to engage, Mudavadi said. The campaign period is over and asked leaders to work together in achieving the aspiration of the Kenyan people.
Sasa tunataka tuweke mambo ya siasa nyuma yetu, mambo ya kuongea kila wakati. Sasa wananchi nadhani wanataka waone tunatekeleza wajibu wetu vilivyo, vile tuliwaahidi. Kwa hivyo kongamano hili ni la muhimu sana, kwa sababu wale mawaziri ambao waliteuliwa pamoja na principal secretaries na wafanyikazi wengine wakuu wa kiserikali ambao wana jukumu la kuhakikisha kwamba gurudumu la Kenya Kwanza linasonga mbele, ni lazima wasikizane kwanza wenyewe.
This is Roads Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, and a water counterpart Alice Wahome said the meeting will be used to set strategies that will help address the country's economy and how the country's debt will be managed.
Hopefully for me, by Sunday, we all know where we are going, the overall vision of this government and the objective for the next 5 years. And then now each one of us attack or find a route to that end through your ministry and through the responsibility you have within your ministry. You know, we have a big challenge also of management of resources. My ministry has a lot of challenges in relation to pending bills because it's a capital intensive ministry. So the discussion here across board is in terms of how do we grow the economy and how do we manage debt and how do we raise resources for achieving these objectives.
Tuangalie vizuri kwa makini vile tutaweza kutekeleza maagano yetu na wananchi ambao walitupatia kura, ndio tujue programs na projects itamalizika namna gani, kuelezewa vizuri serikali hufanya kazi namna gani, kwa sababu wengine wetu wametoka private sector, na kwa hivyo ni vizuri pia wajue serikali inafanya kazi namna gani.
And Nyeri leaders are planning to table their list of projects which they want the government to prioritize as President William Ruto convenes a cabinet meeting in Nanyuki, led by Nyeri Town MP Duncan Minor. The leaders said they want 3 mega dams to be constructed, 2 in Kieni constituency and 1 in Tetu constituency. Minor said that although the president and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua are coming for a 3-day cabinet meeting, they will push for a courtesy call where they will table their demands. And the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union announced suspension of the industrial action in the wake of dialogue held with officials from the national and county government. The doctors had issued a strike notice that was to take effect today, lamenting failure by the government to implement a collective bargaining agreement signed 5 years ago. KMPDU Secretary General Dr. Davji Atala confirmed the decision to call off the planned strike, arguing that the move will pave way for further talks, even though the two sides were yet to fully agree on the way forward on issues in contention.
The courts had already ordered for the government to implement this CBA last year, and it was to be implemented in total. This judgment came on 28th of October 2021. The same courts ordered only 6 days, which expired last year, and expired over 406 days as we we have already alluded, we extend another olive branch to the government and to the Kenyans to go into this engagement with goodwill to ensure that the commitments that we were given yesterday in the discussion that we had with the Ministry of Health, with the COG, and with all their teams, that the collective bargaining agreement of 2017-2021 will be implemented in total, including the basic salary within the 60 days, that which give us the date of 5th of March 2023.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja says he will not back down on his reform agenda despite criticism from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on his planned removal of matatu operators from the city's central business district. Sakaja says he has the full backing of the head of state on his transformational push to restore the city's lost glory.
Change is difficult, but change is inevitable. We must change our city to be that city, that shining, jewel on the African continent. I thank the President William Ruto has been extremely supportive.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
Not going to be a problem this Friday morning. We're not seeing any of it really on most parts, or rather in most parts of the city. A little bit here and there on Jogo Road is getting out towards Landis, and then it's going to spill over onto around Kamkunji and then onto Haile Selassie. There's a little bit that is also coming off Ngong Road, but really nothing to worry about as such. On the Thika Superhighway into the city without too much of an issue whatsoever. Some then going off after the Pangani underpass out towards Muranga Road. Westerns is looking like a dream. Nobody wants to wake up from that, so enjoy it while it lasts. Next week could be a different story. A little bit coming off of Muthaiga through to Limuru Road, but again, you should be able to get where you're going without too much of an issue. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter in about half hour, see what it looks like. Talk to us there, and let's try to keep things moving this Friday.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Welcome to the second hour of the Situation Room. We are here until 10 a.m. like we are here every weekday morning. Have you subscribed to Showmax? Showmax.what? .com. Why should you subscribe to Showmax? Showmax is making it easier for everybody to access it. Get great quality content both locally and international from as low as 300 bob a month. You can pay for your Showmax subscription via credit card or M-Pesa. Additionally, you can add to your existing DSTV subscription and get to watch Showmax. It's as easy as that. Okay? More about Showmax in coming hours. CT, let's begin the hour with the proverb from the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4.
Z Flip 4. Man, I think of beauty. Yes.
Beautiful
companion. Right? Yes. Yeah. Lovely to look at. Lovely to use.
And it fits into your shirt pocket.
My friend, not only in the palm. Nowadays you say you have the world in the palm of your hands. With this particular companion, you do have the world in the palm of your hands. Because the things that you can do with it, the things it can do for you, nonetheless. To the proverb. Anyone who plants trees before they die hasn't lived in vain.
Except if you're the guys from the tea factories.
Those ones have not planted trees.
Them, they bought rocks.
Those bought rocks.
And you can't plant rocks. Rocks, actually, you find them planted already. So unless you're going to build a quarry, again, They should have thought otherwise. I mean, if this isn't working and you have rocks, what do you do with the rocks?
That story is annoying.
No, it's disheartening, that story.
It's really, really, really sad, because you can imagine how much money was actually used to buy those pieces of land.
You know, the thing I find tragic and the thing which I find disturbing is when I think of this story being replicated in very many scenarios across the country.
Yeah, it's not just trees and rocky
Groups
land.
of people have put their money and their trust in elected officials. And the understanding is that these individuals would look after their interest. And these individuals, in the name of looking after their interests, proceed to plunder
completely
the very resources that these people have worked so hard to get. That's a crying shame.
It's just bad. There's a surgeon who has sued Safaricom over its decision to have unredeemed loyalty points expire. Safaricom's new terms indicate that subscribers will lose unredeemed bonga points older than 3 years from the 1st of January. However, Nakuru-based medic Dr. Mwagai Gikenyi, in his case filed before the High Court, argues that the company never involved its customers before making that decision. That is bone of contention. The action of the respondent will lead to inter alia loss of public confidence and outright abuse of business dominance to the detriment of many poor Safaricom subscribers in the country. The Bonga Points loyalty scheme was about 4.5 billion shillings on the firm's liability stock in the last financial year. Safaricom has ruled out redeeming Bonga Points that are older than 3 years. But now this guy is saying, no, you should have asked your customers first whether they are happy with that.
Public participation.
But does it go into even private companies?
Yeah, why not? The law of the land.
The law of the land for what, though?
The law of the land for public participation.
Public participation. Does it spill over into private?
The services that are provided by Safaricom are to the public. They make their money from the public. It doesn't matter what you say, that's what they do. These are their partners. Whatever they sell, whatever they have, in the absence of the public, they have no business. Meaning the business will go punglu, pop, done, finished.
Wow.
Okay? So, this public, who are your partners, not silent, they're very active partners. Is it too much to ask for them to... We are always being asked about this and the other. There's this product. What about something this fundamental? What if I want my bonga points to last for the next 20 years so that I can bequeath my children? Why are you stopping me?
So that you can bequeath your children what? Bonga points?
Yes. Why should it be an issue?
Oh, yeah.
You think in 20 years' time my children won't need airtime?
So the problem is the bonga points. You want to be able to have carte blanche on what happens.
The bonga points I get are a product of the usage of this product and the facilities provided. This is not, there's no brainer here.
They've given you a reward.
They should stop joking.
They've given you a reward.
Reward for what?
They've given you a reward for your loyalty. That's what they are. They're loyalty points. You've used them, they've given you the points, but then they're asking you to use them.
So are they cancelling my loyalty?
They are my points.
Are they cancelling? Is my loyalty...
What? So my loyalty has expired after 3 years. And I'm still using their product.
I'm still on.
Never. I mean, every once in a while.
I'm still stuck on bequeathing my bonga points to my children.
Why shouldn't I?
Now.
Why shouldn't I be able to do so? Why shouldn't I? It's a reward. It's mine. It's been given to me.
Then you want to come and tell me what to do
and then you're telling me
with
that it wasn't actually mine. It was ours. Meaning
yours.
I can take it when I want. Really? Therein lies a lie. It is mine. I can do what I want with it.
And you've earned the bonga points.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, for your loyalty.
Yes.
So you cannot come and take them away from me.
And it's not loyalty. It's actually because you purchased.
Yes, I paid for this thing. It's a discount that they're calling bonga points. So this story of you decide for me to expire my bonga points and my loyalty.
Let's go to court. In fact, what do you mean?
Let's start with, did they ask you when they wanted to introduce the bonga points?
No, they did not.
They just
ask
came and
me.
told you,
No,
giving you points.
They told me.
If they came and said, okay, so we are rolling out a new reward scheme and we're going to call it bonga points, and this is how it's going to be. So every time you purchase XXXX, you
get a
earn
point.
XX of
We're told.
bonga points, and they can be redeemed at this. But they didn't ask you. So
They didn't
do
ask
you
you come
agree?
and do you want this thing? If
All
you
right.
don't want to have it, we will
Well,
do
but
it.
they did. You sign
You
up.
sign up, actually.
You opt in.
You opt in for him.
So that's akin to asking you.
It is, yes, precisely. The moment you have a contract and an agreement and understanding, you've been asked and you've agreed. The very deed, the very process of these fellows wanting my ID and my photograph and what have you said, I'm registered. That one, we have an understanding. That process, the one we went through, the torturous one, it's a process. So you cannot now come and suddenly decide for me.
My own.
Something which is already mine. You know, it's not something in the future. I have it, it's mine. And then you're telling me that it is no longer mine. How?
That it will expire. This thing that I
Because
rewarded
it's affecting my books. You see, for as long as you have not redeemed it, it sits as a liability in my books.
So?
It's affecting so you redeem it.
Change the book.
You want it.
Oh, my dear city.
The problem is the book. Change it.
Issue the book.
Get another book.
Change what the book says, after all.
Or make sure that the other books for those other things. So these books which have problems, these are books with problems. Put them there so they're not interfering with anything else. There's no way you
Anyway,
are not going to stop me from redeeming. No, sorry.
Oga, what's his name? Bieti has gone to court.
It's called Magai Gikenyi.
Bikenyi.
Good for you, brother.
Yeah.
I'm behind you. Completely 100%.
So what is the thrust of his case? He's saying you cannot tell us that, or essentially does not want there to be any kind of expiration on the points.
Yeah, he says it's unfair for Safaricom to fail their subscribers by forcing them to redeem their loyalty points, or else they lose them through arbitrary and irrational actions. Safaricom's action of introducing expiry dates for bonga points was implemented without input from subscribers. It just sprung up. Like that. One day they just woke up. By the way,
Able use these things or we expire
we
them.
take them away.
Safaricom should change their advice. The people who advise them to make such decisions.
They're not good.
Those books that we're speaking about, those are the people should. I mean, come on, man. I mean, think about is this thing really that difficult to understand?
No, please.
Huh?
Yes, it is.
There was a company called Nakumar that also used to have bonga points.
See, now the whole company.
Yeah, but those bonga points.
It collapsed and they went.
Yeah, they went. So I understand. So the bonga points can't work, and you couldn't transfer them anywhere else.
Those were not bonga points.
I understand.
But I understand.
They were bonga points.
With a different name.
With a
different name, yes. It was a reward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
tell us about the headline in the Business Daily then.
Safaricom drops Uhuru ally.
Safaricom today is not doing you well, eh?
No. This is what they've done because if you have a chairman and a director and that person ceases to be, then the headline, yes, the headline is not misleading. They are stating a fact.
But the man resigned. Anyway, go on.
Yes, it drops. They could have determined not to accept his resignation, could they not? So if they accepted, he is dropped. Okay?
C'est ça, c'est vrai.
Yes. Safaricom has dropped former President Uhuru Kenyatta's ally, John Ngumi, as its board chairman, 6 months after he took charge of East Africa's most profitable company in a fresh board shake-up seen to align the firm with the new administration. The telco yesterday revealed the resignation of Mr. Ngumi, a career banker, as a director of the company and chairman from December 22nd. Mr. Ngumi was seen as a blue-eyed boy. This term is really confusing. This guy is not a boy by any stretch of any imagination. In the Uhuru administration, in which he was handed a chairman positions in cash-rich parastatals, among them the Industrial and Commercial Development Corporation (ICDC), which was in charge of the Kenya Transport and Logistics Network, and Kenya Ports, and I turn the page, Authority, Kenya Pipeline Company Limited, and Kenya Railways Corporation. He also served on the board of Kenya Airways. Okay. In the brief period following his appointment to the board, John was appointed has provided a wealth of industry knowledge and vast expertise. Very true indeed. Safaricom said that in a statement, he has steered the company through a general election and supported the entrenchment of our purpose of transforming lives through our products and services, as well as within the communities we serve. The telcos, which was awarded the top taxpayer award in the financial year ended March 22nd, after remitting 124 billion in duties, taxes and license fees, did not name a successor, only offering that the new chairman will be elected by the board in the coming weeks.
All right.
Okay.
How much do you want to place on the money that the new entrant is going to be the chairman?
I place on the money. It's a no-brainer. The new... this one you don't even need to think very hard. The new board changes. Safaricom also appointed Adil Arshad Khawaja, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, as the director of the board. The telco said the appointment, done with effect from December 22nd, was approved by the board on January the 1st. This board was working on New Year's Day. Okay. The firm said, and you wonder why. The board says Mr. Khawaja, who currently serves as a managing partner in Denton's, Hamilton, Harrison and Matthew, has over 30 years of experience in the legal profession, ranging from dispute resolution to commercial and real estate. You may find that this particular description has not actually done good service to this gentleman's reputation. He is probably able to do infinitely more than is being said here. He's recognized as a leading name in the Kenyan legal profession and has been globally recognized in various practice groups as one of the most sought-after lawyers in Kenya. Safaricom said in a statement that Mr. Adil previously served as a director of KCB Group and was elected the first chairman of KCB Kenya Limited. Yes.
He's been Kenya Commercial Bank's chairman for 5 years.
Yes, he was.
All right. Okay.
In a previous dispensation. The current chairman of Kenya Commercial Bank is called Andrew Cairo. Yes.
Is Cairo chairman of the group, or because there is the group and then there is the subsidiaries?
Okay. Andrew Cairo is chairman of KCB. Okay, now, whether it's group or subgroup.
Wepanjua.
Mimi.
Wepanjua.
I know he's chairman of KCB.
Are you sure able to?
So,
because since 2018, so there's the subsidiaries that they started.
Yes, they are subsidiaries.
And that's where now Adil came in and joined
the subsidiaries.
Subsidiaries,
yes,
and
but
chaired.
Yes, the subsidiaries.
And the subsidiaries.
But now, chairman overall.
Mdosi,
yeah, kila mtu. The one who shakes hands with Madame Suluhu and goes and shakes hands with other dignitaries in East Africa, and then goes to DRC and also shakes hands. Okay, because KCB, when he shakes your hand, KCB has shaken your hand. Yes, that particular gentleman is called who? Andrew Cairo.
Andrew Cairo.
That one.
Okay, so let's take a quick one and first look at what was happening yesterday. The by-elections took place across the country yesterday. The notable ones were for members of parliament and one senate. Elgeyo Marakwet had a senatorial race taking place yesterday following what? The appointment of Kipchumba Murkomen, who was elected as senator, to cabinet. So we have a reporter, Elvis, who is in Elgeyo Marakwet, and he joins us now to tell us exactly what's been happening in terms of vote counting overnight. Elvis, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. We're coming to you from E10. This is in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, and just to paint a picture of what happened yesterday, remember 213,000 registered voters were yet to elect their new senator after the appointment of Kipchumba Murkomen. But as of yesterday, we had several candidates who had decried voter bribery in the Elgeyo Marakwet Senate election race. They alleged that the election was characterized also by low voter turnout. But early in the morning, remember, the process started smoothly, but only it was characterized by low voter turnout in several polling stations. But as of yesterday, the 6 candidates, Team Kipchumba, the Party for Peace and Development, William Kisang, the UDA candidate, Timothy Tanui of the New Democrats, Jerotich Chei of Safina, Andrew Mengich, an independent candidate, and Kelvin Kemboi is also an independent candidate. Remember, we had 554 polling stations, but as of yesterday, no candidate had indicated or had considered defeat in a race that has been termed as hotly contested. So as we speak, the race is still too close to call because we are told it's a two-horse race pitting Team Kipchumba, the Party for Peace and Development, against William Kisang. So it's too close to call because they are still waiting for two returning officers from Marakwet East. That is according to the county returning officer. But as of yesterday night, the KU North Senate election results that was final indicated that Team Kipchumba of PPPD at 6,615, William Kisang of the UDA at 8,012, Jerotich Sei of Safina had 555 votes, Kelvin Kemboi, independent candidate, 75 votes, Andrew Mengich, an independent candidate, 59 votes, and Timothy Tanui of the New Democrats at 130 votes. So we are still waiting. It's a wait-and-see situation. Others seeing that the former Marakwet East Member of Parliament, William Kisang, emerged the winner in this hotly contested race, but it's a wait-and-see situation. Remember, we saw early last week where Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen had joined campaigns for the succession from Sunday. So it was a really
it was a tough one.
race, the UDA. I remember they had high-powered delegation all the way from Nairobi, Aaron Cheruiyot, Samson Cherargei, Jackson Mandago, as well as host of MPs and MCAs were in the region campaigning for Kisang. This was after Team Kipchumba posed as a huge threat to the ruling party.
Elvis, so what time is the returning officer expected to make the announcement?
Okay, according to Charles Mutai, the county returning officer in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, he has indicated they're still waiting, maybe in the next an hour, 2 hours. They're still waiting for the two polling stations so that he can compile the final results. But he has already alerted the two top contenders.
Okay, because we saw about midnight, Tim Kipchumba, the other candidate, had already tweeted and he said he called Kisang and congratulated him, assured him of the support as the senator-elect for Elgeyo Marakwet. So it appears that Tim Kipchumba has already considered defeat in that particular race.
Okay, I've also seen that tweet, but it's subject to confirmation because I've tried also to reach Tim Kipchumba, the entrepreneur, but I've not managed so far because the 30-year-old line is offline. So we are yet to establish, but all indicators indicate that William Kisang, the former Marakwet West MP, who served as National Assembly for 2 terms from 2013 to 2022, will be the next senator of Elgeyo Marakwet County. But it's a wait-and-see situation. We cannot confirm anything yet.
So, Elvis, thank you very much. When you get the confirmation, please let us know and we can announce it.
Okay.
Asante sana. That's our reporter Elvis, who is in Iten, who's been monitoring the by-election in Elgeyo Marakwet County. We'll also bring you up to speed in what's happening in Kandara and Garissa Township. Keep it here for that and more. We're still looking at what else is happening across the globe.
Governors have rejected the Treasury's new revenue sharing plan for regions.
At what?
Governors have rejected the Treasury's new revenue sharing plan for regions. Okay. So, we knew that Treasury had said they were proposing shareable revenue disbursement formula where counties will receive allocations according to their rates of absorption. Remember, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. So, you're absorbing 72%, then we're going to see those budgets that we talked about, we're going to now reduce them. You're absorbing 100%, then we know clearly you're working. We give you according to
so
how
you add a component of absorption into that formula.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. The Council of Governors, however, has termed this as illegal and unacceptable. Don't disturb us. Give us the money. Allow us to do what we want to do with it. And we'll come back to you when we're done.
Yeah.
Don't be disturbing us anyhow. Tell us, because last year you did not absorb. What if the next year I absorb? So stop it.
And what business is it of yours if I absorbed or not?
So you disperse the money and then you move on. Allow us to continue what we're doing. Through its Finance Planning and Economic Affairs Committee Chairman Fernandez Barraza, they maintain that shareable revenue should be disbursed to counties on a monthly basis as required by the law. Barraza, who is also the governor of Kakamega, said it is improper for the National Treasury to suggest that the disbursements be done based on the rate of absorption, as this is a contravention of the Constitution. The Constitution is clear about how often the funds should be released to the counties. The current delays in the release of the cash has started crippling operations across the devolved units, said the governor. Barraza, who spoke in Matungu constituency on Thursday, urged the National Treasury to fast-track the release of the funds, saying the delay has affected service delivery. They said delayed requisition approvals by the Control of Budget have made it hard for counties to absorb funds released to counties. So it's not even an issue of ego. They're saying, you know what? It's illegal. It's against the Constitution. So just stop it. You do what you're supposed to do. Give us the money. All this story about absorption, what money going.
So anyway, the National Treasury was just being cheeky there, saying, I will release money to you based on how much you've used the money that I gave you last time. That's not...
It's not your job.
The law is clear. Money goes into the county every month.
On this amount.
And you've not even been sending the money.
Even that one that you're supposed to send,
now you're saying, by the way, in fact, we'll be looking at how you're absorbing the money. This thing of being big brother, and that's what I'm saying, we should separate those two things. The National Treasury and the Finance Ministry of the national government. Those two should be separate. So when President William Ruto appoints a finance minister, that person is just in charge of finances at the national government, just like we have a CEC finance in a county. And then the National Treasury should be somebody who is serving both levels of government, just like the way a controller of budget, the Auditor General, is a separate institution. This mambo of the national government guy is deciding how much is going to the county.
No.
You're being polite. This isn't even a question of being big brother. It's, these dictatorial tendencies that are carried over from God knows which period of time in our history. Somebody has authority and they think that they have the power to actually, they decide, forget the laws, forget the rules, forget the Constitution, they decide. It's their money which they will give you when they want to give it to you, when they feel like they ought to give it to you. This disregard for the law, every time a step is taken, I marvel. The individuals who go around breaking the law, disregarding court orders, do they know what they set in motion? Because this is it. The manifestations always come home. Somebody is employed to serve the public and the citizens of this country. And the person decides, this is their turf, they're the boss, and they're going to decide what
they're the ones who are going to decide.
Yeah, they're going to tell you. Forget the law, forget the Constitution, they're going to tell you.
That needs to end. And that conversation, I think, ought to happen sooner rather than later. Separate the National Treasury from the national government's finance ministry. The same way a governor appoints CEC is the same way a president appoints his finance minister. And it should not be the same way the National Treasury boss is appointed. That should be a separate process, and that person is answerable to the head of state. It's 28 minutes to 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Remember, school fees season is here. Step up and shine with Kiwi. Once you go and buy Kiwi black shoe polish anywhere, not at your Kiwi shop, any shop that sells Kiwi. Look under the lid. You find the lid and then you do what?
You then will send a code to *459 *5#. You win airtime or bundles immediately. And then you also get a chance to enter the draw, which could see you win 35,000 shillings every week for 36 weeks. People have been walking away with 35,000 bucks that goes towards school fees. You could be one till the 7th of February.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get ready to fall in love with the new Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, featuring intelligent 360 audio which makes the sound feel more realistic than ever before. Not only that, they can feature enhanced head tracking, making every movement stay in sync so you get an immersive experience. Designed to fit comfortably, the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro will also help you stay connected by automatically popping up on your Samsung Galaxy devices, and with just a tap, you can connect. As simple as that. Available in all select Samsung stores countrywide.
We're bringing the heat this festive season. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. With the hottest content this holiday. I'm telling you, have a Showmax festive. Subscribe at showmax.com.
All right, looking at partly sunny conditions in Nairobi at 13. We'll see highs of 26 down to lows of 13. It's 12 and cloudy in Nakuru, highs of 27, lows of 10, and it's 10 degrees and sunny in Nyeri. We'll see highs of 25 and lows of 10. All right, let's look into Eldoret, where it's sunny at 14, highs of 24 and lows of 11. And Mombasa is sunny at 27, going to highs of 32 and lows of 25. Malindi is sunny at 27, highs of 32 and lows of 27, and it's 19 and cloudy in Kisumu, highs of 30 and lows of 18. It's partly sunny at 15 in Kakamega, highs of 30 and lows of 14. Kampala is cloudy at 20, highs of 30 and lows of 15, and Dar es Salaam cloudy at 28, highs of 32 and lows of 27. Johannesburg is sunny at 16, highs of 22 and lows of 11, and it's 23 in Lagos, going to highs of 33. We'll see highs of 30 in Kinshasa, where it's cloudy at 22.
Spice up your life.
All right, traffic situation this morning has not been too terrible. We're looking at a little bit of traffic that has built up on Jogo Road and going into the city. Gong Road, not bad at all. At your junctions where you see a little bit here and there inbound traffic. Looking off the Thika Superhighway, that's not too much of an issue at your junctions as well. But then past the Pangani underpass, going out then towards Muranga Road, we have some there. Limuru Road is also looking pretty busy as we're trying to get into the city centre. Apart from that, it's not too crazy. Well, we'll keep an eye on things. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
All right.
94.4
minutes to 8. Now that you've talked about Fernandez Baraza, he is also talking about Nairobi City County and how it's being administered. Fernandez Baraza, who is the governor of Kakamega County, and his Siaya counterpart James Orengo are urging Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to let Sakaja do his job of serving the residents of Nairobi City County. Are we together?
We are together.
The two governors spoke during the commemoration of the late father of former presidential aspirant George Wajackoyah in Indangalasia, Matungu, Kakamega County. Baraza said, I want to join my colleagues to warn the deputy president that he must respect the constitution. Governor Sakaja is in charge of Nairobi County and he is the one given the mandate by Nairobians to govern affairs of the city. Let Sakaja work without interference. The constitution is clear on functions of the counties. We are distinct on matters of governance, so let Sakaja serve the people of Nairobi. We must respect each other as national and county governments. He said governors have a mandate from people to deliver. Gachagua had earlier asked Sakaja to be consulting before making some key decisions. These things you are not fine.
Sakaja has been longer in politics than he has.
At the same time, the Nairobi governor is at loggerheads with UDA ward reps who have accused him of favouring Azimio. This emerged during the appointment and vetting of CECs and COs, where the majority are said to be from ODM and some from the defunct Nairobi Metropolitan Service. Orengo told Gachagua to stop directing Sakaja on how to run the city. This issue of Sakaja and how Nairobi is being run, you see what we heard from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. It was with regards to the order on matatus, right?
Yes.
And he was saying, we need to remind our young man that, he needs to be consulting, once or twice. I noted, though, in the interview that the president gave to the media the day before yesterday, he also mentioned something about Nairobi City. For example, we are working with governors, we are helping governors here and there. For example, Sakaja, he's new in governor and he's making some mistakes here and there, and we'll guide him. And it was notable. Why did the president mention Sakaja specifically?
It would appear as if they feel, the presidency feels that they need to keep a reign or some kind of control over Nairobi. Not necessarily the individual of Arthur Johnson Sakaja, but that Nairobi needs a little bit of their control. If it just happens to be Arthur Johnson Sakaja who is the governor, then it will be him then who hears it.
Yeah, but why would you say, Sakaja is making some mistakes?
Yeah, why?
What mistakes are these that he's making? Because this is the president who actually said, I was like, wait a minute, what did I just hear?
I think that the idea or the mention of the mistakes, this is sometimes it's referred to as a Freudian slip, meaning there are things that were discussed with Arthur Sakaja Johnson, and the things that were agreed upon. And it would appear that there's a deviation from what was agreed upon and what it was understood would be done by him as a candidate of the ruling party within Nairobi. Because if the deputy speaks of it, the president speaks of it, it looks like the good governor has deviated from the common understanding. That is perspective number one. Perspective number two, that, and it's two as in falling out from one. When you become governor, Arthur Johnson, the thing you must do is you must come to us on a daily basis to ask what it is you must do.
You must come to pay homage and kiss the ring.
And we will give you direction as to what to do with everything that you plan to do. Okay? Now, when that doesn't happen, then it would be called a mistake. Or thirdly, there are things that the party had purposed would be done in a particular way. Now, if it isn't being done, would that not also be considered as a mistake?
It could be.
Yes.
If you're not implementing the bigger manifesto.
Yes.
Or the actions that you're taking.
Or you're implementing it not in the way that it was purposed. Then you'd be making a mistake. You're deviating. Again, it is a story of deviation. This is what was expected. This is how we said we were going to do this thing, and you seem to be deviating from it.
What?
Or you owe us this thing, okay? So don't think you can have an independent mind. Where
remember, it was a negotiation that you actually ended up with the ticket.
Yes. So don't think that you now, because you are in that seat,
don't get that independent mind.
Yes, that you can just decide to do what you think you want to do. No. This is not how it works. This is not how you got there.
Wow. So, anyway, I think it's like you said, the national government looks at Nairobi and sees
it's an extension of the national government.
It's a seat of government, and therefore they'd like some control. But
the control isn't that is even the seat of government, Eric. The control is that it has the biggest economy the biggest economy in the country. So control of Nairobi County, City County, is control of the money that is in the county. And it's control of the businesses that the county of Nairobi has. That's really what we are discussing here. Yes, because it isn't that this MC was made majority leader, this one was made a deputy minority. No. Those are inconsequential. So long as these people in leadership are Kenyans, they can be spoken to. It does not really matter which party they belong to. Those are non-issues. The issue here is, when we put you there, the appointment has to do with who it is you are going to put in certain positions that will help the larger picture. Now, larger picture in our politics is money.
Yes.
It is not anything else.
The larger picture.
Yes, the larger picture, the broader picture, which will serve the interests of the citizens of the country in compliance with the oath of office, blah, 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 blah.
At the end of the day, Omo, if you thought you were going to enter into that Nairobi and do as you like, you've got another thing coming.
That's going to be a tough one for them. It's a tough one. There's a headline that you had read for us in the Star. There was a story, an interesting story that you had in the Star.
Yes, police killed people in container, Ruto.
Oh, it was that one.
That's what I said. The other one we've just discussed, the CSI element was the so-called squabble, okay? You know, I just want to say one thing, though, about this squabble, even as I continue, okay? The tone in which some of these things are being said, a bit patronizing. It's like Sakaja is some little boy who must be whipped into shape every once in a while. And
Exactly.
Kijana kuja hapa, Wex. Hey,
that's the part that rubs me the wrong way.
Yes.
That's the one you don't like.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yes. That one.
I don't like it at all.
Sakaja is a seasoned politician.
It's sort of like it's insulting the voters.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Like, they voted for you. They did whatever they wanted to do. However, we are the one who are pulling the strings. Yeah. I don't
they
like
voted for you because of us.
Yeah. That it is because of our contribution.
Kijana, jua
that they
mahali
gave you
pako.
the vote.
Yes. That Kijana young man, it's patronizing.
I don't like it at all.
Yes.
He's not in. He does not have much in.
Doesn't have thinking, independent thinking.
Much. Sakaja is more experienced than several governors that we
very many governors.
Shall we start listing them?
Yes. If you're talking about politics, and if you're talking about how it is that one understands and gets into the throes of politics at a young age, he's one of them.
Yep.
Our president got into politics in that manner. He should understand this better. Yes. Our deputy president got in the other day and then
served one term.
Whoop. Yes. So in terms of political experience, the governor of Nairobi has more experience than he does. President. Yes, significantly more.
Does he have more experience in public service? No.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Maybe that's where now the deputy president is coming from. We understand these things.
But Eric, all those things, again, are inconsequential.
They are all totally inconsequential.
Yes, okay? This patronizing attitude of, the moment you hear, it's a wewe kijana. It's you person who should not be.
He has made some mistakes. I don't like.
He's making some mistakes here. And then we are here to advise him on.
No, I don't know.
Yes, you could actually advise him, and you could actually know more than he does. That is absolutely true.
Yes.
Okay, but man, by the time somebody is an elected officer in this country, that person is elected like you. So, one statement: what waheshimiane.
Bas, that's it.
That's it.
Tuheshimiane.
Right. Cops slaughtered people and dumped their bodies in rivers.
Okay, hold on that. Because we've got in somebody who's in Kandara to tell us what's been happening.
Let's hear.
Remember, Alice Wahome was elected by the people of Kandara on August 9th to become their MP for the third time. But she was tapped by the president to be the Minister for Water, Irrigation and Sanitation. Now, there was a by-election yesterday. And our man Bonnie is in Kandara. Good morning, Bonnie.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. And just give us an update. What's been happening overnight in terms of vote counting?
The vote counting kicked off as scheduled. And it was tight between Chege Njuguna of UDA and Titus Njau of Foda City. Both had done intensive campaigns in all the 6 wards, looking for the 105, 148 votes. But in the preliminary results, at Kiawangenye polling center, Chege garnered 27, Njau garnered 174, at Kiangari, Chege got 8. Bushu got Olinjau now got 186. And then it was all over in each person's stronghold. He was reading.
Okay.
Depending on the nature of their campaigns. But it has been a tight race. But we are expecting in a few minutes the returning officer, Madam Rina Kironzi, to release the results.
So, so she's about to release to make the final announcement.
Yes.
Before 9 o'clock, before 9 a.m.
Yeah, it is. She had said before at around 7.
Okay.
But now we are still waiting for her to release the report.
Okay.
Yeah, but the race had attracted eight aspirants. Others were Kebiro PMG Jr., who was vying on Usawa kwa Wote Party. Simon Kioni on TND.
Yep.
Joseph Mbogo on JFD. And then we have independent candidates, Pius Muirore, David Kamweti Njuguna,
Yep.
and Erastus Nyoike.
Okay.
Yes, those
Bonnie-
were the 8 candidates.
Bonnie, thank you very much for that update. And once we get to know the final result, well, like you said, it's highly likely that Shage Njuguna will be declared the winner of that
Yes.
particular seat. We'll wait for the official
Yes.
result then, and then you'll keep us updated. Asante sana.
Okay, thank you, brother.
Asante.
Okay.
So it seems the UDA is retaining the 3 seats.
Yeah, it would look like that.
Yeah. Good for them. Hi. Cops did what?
They slaughtered people and dumped their bodies in rivers. Okay, sources reveal horrors after president's shocks nation with container deaths. Let me just read. Was this a case of police gone rogue? How could police officers who are supposed to protect lives take away those same lives with relative ease? How did torture, extrajudicial killing, and enforced disappearance become the order of the day? These are the questions President William Ruto wants the Independent Policing Oversight Board to answer so that those who committed the crimes are arrested and prosecuted. In what sounded like a horror movie, the president, during a televised interview on Wednesday, disclosed how people were slaughtered in the container of death. 30 bodies in Yala, 17 in Garissa. There was a container here in Nairobi area where people was being slaughtered in the police station. The police said exposing the horrible killings. How did you end up there? What kind of rogue institution was that? Ruto posed, adding that there was a reason he fired Directorate of Criminal Investigation George Kinoti. Kinoti did not answer his calls or text messages when the Star called for his comment. I had a thorough meeting with the IPOA and we have agreed that it is not necessary for us to establish another task force when IPOA is there, and it is squarely within their mandate to tell us how Kenyans ended up being killed in this manner, and it was business as usual. Last year, tens of bodies were retrieved from rivers Yala and Tana in what has been linked to police extrajudicial killing, among them murdered in a mysterious container. But if they know where the container is located, how can it be mysterious? The Star has established that the container, which was located in a Nairobi police station, and still mysterious, was a chamber operated by at least 3 dreaded police officers. It was a chamber where people were allegedly being detained for days after capture and tortured not after being murdered, before being murdered. Okay. Right.
Okay, so there were all these calls and petitions. A petition signed by the Law Society of Kenya and delivered to the president on establishment of a commission or a task force to look into those extrajudicial killings. The president has said basically, what we'll do is we want IPOA to investigate this and tell us.
You know, when you think of
Sparks
this,
of sweeping it under the carpet, by the way.
there is this story of the good lawyer Willie Kimani.
Yes.
His client and the taxi driver who were killed.
Yep.
This is a case that has been ongoing for some time. The individuals involved were found guilty at some point.
Yep.
Now remember that among the individuals who were in this case was a police officer who was known to be an executioner. That was his role. It isn't, he didn't give himself the job. It's what he did. You've heard of people being shot in broad daylight. Broad, I mean there's no hiding. Caught, shot. You see, it just so happens that when you have units that are assigned such duties, because there are units that are assigned such duties, okay? But it's usually hush-hush. Details are not given as to why they are formed and what is they supposed to do. And yet, we are aware that there are sectors of our community which are inhabited by not just your average pickpocket and your average handbag snatcher and that sort of thief. No. These are people who are committed to the enterprise of crime.
Right.
And lives have been lost at their hands. Now, how do you deal with such police? How do you deal, not with the police, how do you deal with such individuals? Every government on this planet has such units.
Has such individuals.
They do. But how is it that you prevent them from taking not the law in their hands, but operating within the boundaries of their own jurisdiction, meaning they decide what they're going to do, as opposed to what it is that is supposed to be done. But it raises the bigger question. Is the government allowed to determine who should die or how they should kill people? Because that is what these units are there for, the world over.
Yeah. I think the governments decided a long time ago that they have that right.
Who can live and who can die in the manner in which they ought to live and die. Unfortunately.
Some people will be taken through some due process of some sort. Others will not be taken through any process.
No, they will not.
It'll just
Depending
be,
on what it is they are deemed to
you're
be.
a bad apple.
And the threat that is also deemed that they have towards the state, they figure this person, the world is better off not having this
without
individual.
them.
Yes.
Watch how you end. There's a sad story coming from Homa Bay. Police in Homa Bay are investigating an incident where a woman allegedly stabbed her husband to death over plans to marry a second wife. 32-year-old Michael Onyango Ondiala, who was a border rider from Miyoro village, Kajwang sublocation in Diwa sub-county, died as he was being rushed to hospital. Police records indicate that the couple engaged in a squabble before the suspect grabbed a knife and stabbed the husband. After the incident, she surrendered to the area assistant chief, confessing that she was angered upon learning that her husband wanted to marry another woman. The assistant chief, Enos Nyawade, said the couple in the past have had marital issues, but he never thought it would end up in murder. At one time, the woman ran away from home for some months, and she returned last month. Nyawade urged residents to find amicable ways of resolving their issues instead of taking matters in their own hands. See, this is a very sad one. It brings me, by the way, to a separate angle, which is not the direct angle to this story, is on the roles that chiefs play in the communities. The chief knows when the woman had run away, when she came back. The chief knows the kind of squabbles that these people have been having. The chief knows who owns what property. The chief knows which cow has. The chief is like
God.
He's everything in villages.
Yes.
You are right. Remember, the chiefs as we knew them under the old Chiefs Act, this was the president's representative in the village.
Yes.
And they had all those powers, and they had real powers. So it meant that anything that happens within the so-called jurisdiction, they knew. But also because they were members of that community.
The community members.
Yes, born there, bred. They knew people knew them, they were known, their families were known, they were known. So it was not possible for you to hide. Chiefs were never brought from outside that particular locality. Yes.
Same applies today. You know why I'm thinking of that is because with the new constitution, remember the new constitution called for the restructuring of the system called the provincial administration to go with the new system of government where we have devolution. And there are people who interpreted that to mean that the constitution wants the abolishment of the provincial administration.
That's not what it did. It said,
and there were people who were actually calling for it.
Yes.
That, this provincial administration should be abolished. Get away. You can't. You would leave such a huge vacuum if you actually removed a chief from a village.
Not only did they seek to abolish it, but remember, the administration police as we know them, that unit was in state specifically to support the chief's functions.
Yes.
Now, when they were removed, because you found APs in chief's camps and deployed and given other duties.
Yes.
So whenever you have an issue, whether it's cattle rustling, what have you, the chief will hear about it, but the chief has no powers, he has no means to do anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no police.
There's nothing.
Nothing.
The importance also that the people in communities place on the chiefs cannot be ignored either. Because you'd be surprised that the first port of call for a lot of people is not even your local police station.
No, it's the chief.
It's the chief. To solve whatever issue it may be. My house was robbed, my husband beat me, my children are missing, my child has refused to go to school.
Chief.
It's the chief. So even on the community members, they have placed quite an importance. So this godlike status is not just assumed by the chief, but it's also preferred by the people.
By the people.
You know? So it's like
because they provide solutions.
Yes.
Or they're a custodian of history of what's happening. So yeah, I know that so and so's wife had left and now they've come back. And when they were leaving, this was the issue, and now they've come back. Has the issue been resolved? If it escalates, I will know. I know you guys have been having issues for X. You had come and reported. You, husband, I had summoned you. You came and gave me your side of the story.
Yeah.
I gave you this advice and I told you do this and the other. You have not done this and the other, and that's why we're here. So now we escalate from this point on, we take it to court. It's like they offer that dispute resolution. It's a lot of work that the chief does. A lot of work. And you go to any function in the rural Kenya, whether it's a burial, a wedding, whatever, the chief must be given an opportunity to address people. He must. Or she must. And the chief will come there and just give announcements. Okay, remember people, we have the COVID vaccine. It's still ongoing. You can get your vaccination. Remember now we're registering farmers so that you can get the fertilizer coupons. This is what we are doing now. Please, all farmers, come to my office so that you can register. And then we know how many farmers we have in this area. So that once we know the farmers in this area, then we know how many bags of fertilizer are going to come, blah, 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 blah. All this is done at that point. Hiya, keep it here for more conversations. In the next hour, we talk to Dr. Davji Atela. He is the National Secretary General and CEO of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union. Why are the doctors calling off their strike? He'll tell us. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and distant counterpart Amason Kingi are among delegates attending this year's Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the Commonwealth in Australia. During the conference, the speakers held a meeting with the President of the Australian Senate, Sue Lyon. Wetangula said the meeting centered around parliamentary democracy and relations between the two parliaments. And boundary disputes between Makueni, Kwale and Taita Taveta counties will be resolved through a traditional dispute resolution mechanism. The resolution was reached during an ad hoc committee meeting of Council of Governors that was chaired by Bungoma County Governor Ken Lusaka. The resolution of the parties will now be escalated to the summit for determination. And a Mombasa businessman was found guilty of trafficking 101.8 grams of heroin whose street value is estimated to be worth 3 million shillings, according to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. 8 witnesses testified against the accused, Abdul Majid Msalam Timani, before Mombasa resident Magistrate Rita Aurora, who found him guilty of the offence. Magistrate Aurora also ordered that the vehicle in which the drugs were recovered be relinquished back to the state. Timami's sentencing will be made on January 11th, according to Aurora, who ordered the suspect remains in custody till then. And the clergy in Embu County has lauded the government's effort to release 8.5 billion shillings to the beneficiaries of its various cash transfer programs. While thanking the government for releasing the money meant for the cash transfer programs, Bishop John Jero of Jesus Healing Fellowship in Embu called on the government to ensure that there is transparency in issuing the money. He pleaded with the government to conduct an audit on the previously submitted list of the cash transfer program beneficiaries so as to weed out those that do not qualify. He disclosed that there are a few individuals in the county who have colluded with the rightful beneficiaries of the program to lock many elderly people in the county from getting the money. And in Kerio Valley, gun-toting bandits rule with an iron fist for decades. Parts of Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot and Laikipia counties have become synonymous with bandit raids that have left hundreds dead and thousands displaced. The modus operandi of these criminal gangs involved cash raids, ambushes and indiscriminate shooting of the victims, striking fear among locals who continue to bear the brunt of the continuous assault that have literally turned the Kerio belt into hell on earth. Security personnel have not been spared either in the onslaught in 2012. Armed bandits killed 42 police officers in one of the deadliest attacks in Baringo's Baragoi's Suguta Valley. And a section of religious leaders drawn from Uasin Gishu County is calling on Kenyans to be patient as President William Ruto and his administration establish structures that will put the country on a path to prosperity. The North Rift Imams Council argues that it's too early to start apportioning blame on a government that is barely 100 days in office and asked Kenyans to accord the president time to lay the foundations towards realization of Kenya's development agenda. The group welcomed the decision with head of state to host members of his cabinet in a retreat, noting that this will ensure that the executive arm of government will be reading from the same script, especially as far as the issue of reviving the economy is concerned. And the apparent movement of assorted equipment from Kakamega Bay's sugar mill at Mumias has reignited a fresh wave of suspicion, casting doubt on government's recent commitment to help settle a debt owed to farmers. Concerns emerged after trailer tracks were photographed carrying what appeared to be factory equipment from Mumia's sugar factory. The latest activity came just weeks after President William Ruto announced a plan to revive the sugar mill. During a meeting with local leaders at the Kakamega State Lodge on December 9, 2022, President Ruto committed to find a new strategic investor to replace the Ugandan farm Sarai, which had controversially won a lease to run the mill in December 2021. Sources at the factory confirmed that 2 trailers carted away factory equipment to an unknown location. The equipment is believed to be heavy-duty rollers used as shredders to cut sugarcane into small pieces. Other photographs showed heaters used to heat the cane juice during the manufacturing process. Sarai's lease was revoked by Justice Alfred Mabea of the High Court on 14th of April 2022. This is News. I am Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
It's the most that the Thika Superhighway has seen the whole week, and it's just at the end of it, going towards Pangani. It's most of the traffic today. Also looking at traffic then coming off of Limuru Road and then spilling over towards Westlands, touching on Wangari Maathai. Into the CBD, a little bit on Gong Road. It's trickling out towards Haile Selassie, and that will continue for some time. Jogo Road also busy as you get towards Landis, but Landis is not posing too much of a problem, at least not for now. What else are we looking at? Lunga is pretty busy. Langata a little bit here and there as you touch on Raila Odinga Way and then out towards Aerodrome. Apart from that, it looks good on these Nairobi streets. The sun is up, so hopefully we have a good morning. Let's keep an eye on things. What's going on where you are? SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Talk to us there and let's keep things moving.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
8. Good
the
morning.
only
Happy
way to
Friday. Welcome to the 6th day of 2023. From wherever you are locked in, Pauline Shiro says, good morning, team. Happy first Friday of the year. Have a great weekend. Yes, to you too. Jose Joseph Mushiri says the same. Good morning, everybody from wherever you are locked in. We are here from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Spice FM across the country every weekday morning. Ndu.
Yes.
The Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro.
The Buds 2 Pro, it's immersing you in sound like never before. See those sounds that come from CT's Samsung Ultra, many dimensions, inches.
45-inch,
those 45-inch, 76-inch. That one. Now, the sound that comes from that, absolutely fantastic. It's intelligent 360 audio. It makes the sound feel more. Can you imagine now those people who make mistakes and say, I can feel the sound? You can actually feel the sound with this one. The Buds 2 Pro features enhanced head tracking, so you move your head and the sound goes with you. I mean, it makes every movement stay in sync so you can get an immersive experience. They also help you stay connected to the Galaxy ecosystem now. Those ecosystems, those Akina CT's things. It's a simple tap, you're connected. Tap, and you're connected. They're also designed to fit comfortably in your ears. Fall in love with sound all over again with the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro.
Well, let me tell you about the Showmax plans. You have the Showmax plan and the Showmax mobile only plan. So Showmax plan can register up to 5 devices, while the mobile plan you can register a single mobile device. With the Showmax plan, you can view on 2 different devices concurrently, while with the mobile plan, you get to watch your content on the one mobile device. With Showmax plan, you get HD quality, and the mobile one gives you SD quality streams. You can also get Showmax and Showmax Pro. Showmax Pro is 2,100. Showmax Pro Mobile is 1,050 a month. Please subscribe to Showmax. Get all the premium content, good content, including Showmax Originals, where you get amazing local content featuring your favorite stars and a wide variety of critically acclaimed series and movies and documentaries and all that. Brilliant, beautiful, wonderful content on Showmax. Showmax.com or download the Showmax app. CT.
Yes, please.
We are still in the country of Benin.
Today is the last day.
Who's the president of Benin?
President of Benin is someone called Patrice Talon.
He's called who?
Patrice. Talon.
Talon.
Yes. Not Patrick.
Oh, not Stallone. I thought it's
Patrice.
Stallone Rambo.
Yes, Patrice Talon.
Patrice Talon.
Yes.
It's actually Patrick, but in French.
See? Told you.
Is he French?
It's French. Francophone.
He's Bini.
It's Francophone.
Okay.
I remember I also told you that this country is predominantly agricultural. That's the economy. Cotton, palm oil. Many of the citizens of this country are subsistence farmers. Okay. Yes.
What's population?
And 13 million.
13 million?
Thereabouts, yes.
Wow. There are many.
Oh, they're not few. They're not few. When you consider it's just a sliver of a country, the 13 million is many. But if you look at how it's sandwiched between Nigeria, Togo, Burkina Faso, Niger, what it tells you is that that population is mixed. When you hear of the various communities within this country, they will represent other communities around the countries that surround them. Yes. And remember, this was a kingdom once upon a time. It was a huge kingdom. It was not some teeny little kingdom. It's a huge kingdom.
That spread how far?
Well, man, first of all, it entered Nigeria.
Yes, it did.
Okay? So some of the communities that I speak of share that same culture, same way of life with people who are in the Nigerian side of, the border Benin on the Nigerian side. Yes.
So it was just like a slice is given during the Berlin conference.
To understand the partition of Africa is to understand how a group of European leaders just met and decided, okay, there's this continent called Africa.
Let's slice this.
Over a drink. Hey, mate, what do you fancy?
Yes.
I need some palm oil. I need some palm oil. Okay, we can just cut off this province and give it to you.
But that's exactly what they did. And usually the people who were the forerunners were not the government, they were business people. The business people came in, some church-led organizations had been there before them, but the business people. Like if we look at our country, it was a protectorate. What? British East African Company.
Yes.
If you look at India, same British East India Company, and so forth and so forth. The administration came much later. Much later. So this wasn't accidental. It was a plan. Some clever people had come up with a plan of how to colonize in that particular time. By the time Macmillan was making the Winds of Change statements when he was in Cape Town, South Africa, okay, what had happened was that they had realized that this colonization, as we understand it, and this way of doing it, this one has come to an end. We have to approach this thing differently. And it is argued that winds of change speech is what now brought about this avalanche of countries getting independence or being given independence or receiving independence.
Many empires, remembrance, are still fighting for their artifacts to be returned to parts of Nigeria and Benin until today.
Till date, eh?
Yep. Anyway.
But some of it were returned, eh?
Some of it was returned.
Some was returned.
26 sacred pieces were returned. Not very long.
They should be returned with interest. Some reparations of some sort. I mean, you just can't steal my things and then return them and then say, oh.
Not only that, those things have made you money.
Yeah.
For over a century.
Exactly.
Okay.
Come back with interest. Anyway, let's move on. Thank you for the proverb.
Most welcome, sir.
Yes. Today, doctors would have gone on strike. Imagine.
Would have.
But they've called off a planned strike that was set to begin today. Because according to the Kenya Medical and Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, there's some goodwill that's coming from the government. The Secretary General and CEO of the union, Dr. Davji Atela, said President William Ruto had promised to have all collective bargaining agreements implemented, in addition to having health committees address health emerging issues at national and county levels. The union had issued the strike notice on November 26th to demand implementation of the 2017 and 2021 CBAs by the government. In the past month, the doctors have also engaged Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha on the implementation of the CBAs. Now, the Daktari is here with us in the studio. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Lati.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
We can say Happy New Year. At least the doctors are not on strike. Yeah. Sigh of relief, man. Asante sana for joining us today.
Thank you.
Kenya's biggest conversation, Healthy Friday conversation. The first one is discussing a strike that was going to take place.
Yes.
Now, let's take a couple of steps back. When you say that you are calling for the strike because of lack of implementation of the 2017 and then the 2021 CBAs, what exactly did you mean?
I think when you get down, we have to remember quite clear that there was a strike for doctors in 2016, 2017 that was dubbed 100 days strike, which resulted into the collective bargaining that gave rise to this CBA that was signed. But this CBA has not been implemented. And what was the aspect of this CBA? This CBA had a component of Article A that deals with the basic salary of all the doctors in the country. This has not been implemented completely. It had a component that deals with the human resource. And this was on the internship, that how once you graduate from the school and you're being posted as an intern, how long should you take? 30 days and get posted. This has been contravened to the point that it's the first time actually since independence that interns were staying for 1 year or 2 years before being posted.
Since independence?
Since independence, because that shortage is in existence. It had a point of employment of doctors, and this was a backdrop of the Musimi Task Force report of 2012, when doctors first went on strike. The report indicated that there was a big shortage in the country at a ratio of 1 to 1,700 at that time of doctor to patient, and that it will be vital to employ 1,200 doctors every year at that time. In fact, the graduation rate was about 600. But to date, that has not been happening. In fact, the extent to it is that less than 5% are being employed. There's an aspect of the doctors working in the hospitals. They need to have the equipment, the drugs, and to be able to deliver the services. That's one of the articles of the CBA. And that has not been provided, to the point that there are a lot of frustrations that we have been seeing in level 5s, level 4s, level 3s hospitals, because that's particular conditions that you can prevent. But since you do not have that particular channel, then you can't offer those services to the public. There's aspect of comprehensive medical cover. That is, as much as we are doctors and are skilled to offer these services, you must also be able to get yourself having these services. You shouldn't be offering the services that yourself can't afford. But that was the scenario that is in existence. So we we had our special delegate conference in November in Nakuru, where doctors met to analyze this CBA and said, we are yet now negotiating the new CBA of 2021, 2025. But how can we proceed to that when this one has not been implemented? In 2020, we gave a strike notice, which the government went to court and it was stopped. But the matter proceeded in court, and on 28th of October 2022, the court gave a judgment that the government to implement this CBA, because there was a nil implementation, and they were given order to implement it within 60 days. And the court gave out an outline that if this fails, then they were going to sanction industrial action on behalf of the union at that time. So that is the frustrations that has been there for non-implementation of this CBA. And therefore, we gave that notice of 30 days to be engaged to have this thing implemented. We've had different meetings, but what led us now to suspend the strike, I will say, is a promissory note. We say the government, national government, county government gave us a check of 60 days. And you see, you cannot issue a check to workers if you know you have insufficient funds. So we expect that within 60 days, these issues that, as per this agreement that I'll share, will be implemented.
Okay. So there are a number of things that are historical in nature, even as we're looking at what's going on here. I'll take a few steps back. The CBA, it is not, and stop me if I'm wrong, it is not all of the elements of the CBA that have not been affected, but there are certain parts of non-effect, right, that you have issue with, isn't it? And what are those? What are some of those issues in the CBA that have not been fulfilled that you take great issue with, apart from the employment of interns, or it's either you let them go or you employ them? What else bears the brunt of this palaver?
You know, if you look at the CBA, or the collective bargaining agreement, it's a contract. It's actually the entire contract.
So everything.
It supersedes any other engagement. From the court judgment of 2021, October, it was very clear that there was nil implementation. That means it was negotiated, discussed, and signed and registered in court. But then there has not been implementation. And one thing that counties have been giving out strongly that makes them not implement is that they do not have enough funds. One critical issue that we have seen is that we have consultants in the whole country, in all the 47 counties, but they're all working as junior doctors. But in the hospitals, there are posting orders so that you are a consultant, you are a pediatrician, you are a gynecologist, you are a surgeon, you are a clinical pharmacist. But then if you go to their salary scales, they are paid as junior doctors. That it doesn't reflect the agreement that they have. So that's one thing that is there. And this is all the counties. And that has led to so many of these consultants leaving the government out of the country because they move out of the country.
So what does the promissory note then promise?
The promissory note that we believe need to mature within 60 days for the doctors, because I know that when a strike notice or intention to strike has been issued, all the doctors were prepared and they're ready for this. And they're ready because they've waited for 5 years for these things to be implemented, and they've not been implemented. And therefore, within this time, they were ready to actually take an action. One thing is, on this aspect of the basic salary component, the government said they're going to have their discussions with, because they actually agreed that they have not implemented it. And the court was very clear that within 60 days, they were to work on the interest amounting from non-implementation. So they said they're going to work on it and have it implemented within 2 months, that is 5th of March. Then on the issue of interns, given that was the first time that they were dealing this much, the ministry agreed, undertook to post the medical interns next week to different hospitals, the first batch of 800 and the other batch of 200 by March. And this is happening because if you look at these hospitals in the country, they have a severe shortage of doctors. And those people who actually work in those hospitals are interns. You realize in most of those hospitals, they don't have doctors. So that's one thing that I took to do. The other thing is we have postgraduate training. And you see, we don't have specialties in this country. So with the Constitution and with the devolution of health, human resource aspect went to the counties, but then the postgraduate training and the funds for it remain the Ministry of Health. We have a number of doctors that have been released from the counties and bonded, who are now taking the postgraduate studies. But then from 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, their fees have not been paid. So there was commitment from the Ministry of Health that they're going to pay fees for all these doctors so that they can graduate and return to counties and offer the services. There's also an aspect of the comprehensive medical cover. Those counties that have not offered this covered, there was a promise that within the month of February, they're going to actually offer the comprehensive medical cover. And one of the most notorious counties that has not offered this almost over the period is the Bomet County. So this was a force that they're going to have this implemented. Then the issue of these promotions of the consultant and all other doctors, they say they're going to undertake it strongly with the boards to have it done, so that the report they're giving us in March should have all the consultants rightly placed. Because without that, then they would be have contravened this agreement. Then the aspect of salary delays, it was noted, and they said there are some counties that pay on time, but majority of the counties, up to 40% of them, have, we call it perennial salary delays for workers. And I will tell you, Latif, the team, that the most honest workers in this country are healthcare workers, because they only depend on the salaries that they earn from the jobs. So in the event that there's a delay of their salaries within a month or two, you see a lot of frustrations, you see a lot of outcries, because they don't have any other source. So they undertook to have all these salaries paid within by 5th of every month, because most of the time these funds are always directed to other activities, because there's no explanation why County A will pay on time and County B will delay. Yes.
Okay. So who is making this promise to the doctors and medical? Who has made this promise? Who has issued this promissory note?
See, when we are having these engagements, we deal directly with the employer. And in this case, the employer is the Ministry of Health, and the employer is the governors, the county governors.
Yes.
So in this, and the mitigations that actually made us to suspend this particular industrial action is that the moment that we gave it out, there was a conciliator appointed by the Ministry of Labour to have a discussion on it. But that could have not stopped us from proceeding, because as we conciliate, we have a right to continue on industrial action as we conciliate the process. But then we had a meeting that was called by the head of the chairperson health committee in the Council of Governors, Excellency Sakaja, and the health committees Ndomi Njuki, and the Labour committee Sakaja, where we had a discussion on these particular issues and actually see that they saw the injustice that has been done to the workers. That was on 28th. Then we had another meeting with the Minister for Health, which again saw the need, the actual undoing that was there on the workers that was not being done. So that's the point that we came now to have a full committees of health and labour at the Council of Governors together with the Ministry of Health to actually come into this particular agreement. And we saw the other day when the President was talking that he actually acknowledged that collective bargaining agreements, which is a superior agreement even to the existing policy, because in our Kenya here, it's a constitutional aspect. It's not for under the Constitution, that once a collective agreement has been signed and registered, it supersedes even the policies that have been put in place.
Okay.
Yes.
So the governors and the Ministry of Health essentially have promised that these issues, the elements that are contained in the CBA, and we're talking 2017, 2022, isn't it?
2017, 2021.
2021. That these things will actually be done within 60 days. Yes. Do you believe them?
You know, there's something that everybody has been asking, that why did you issue a strike notice for a new government?
If you were just gonna, somebody was just gonna be able to come and call you on a Thursday afternoon and say, okay, we promise that in 60 days we'll do this, and you say, oh, okay, no strike, we move. Do you believe them?
I'm asking you. See, when we people say that we have new government.
It's a new government,
but
just in office.
As we believe that there's no new government, because the government was founded in 1963. It's a continuum process. And also, what we have is the new sheriffs in the office. So sometimes in the spirit of goodwill, and that's why you call it an olive branch, a third way of olive branch. They tell you, we can do all this in 60 days. You cannot then have a negative feeling that this 6 days is just an hot air. You have to actually in the spirit of goodwill and the spirit of negotiations, give it to them on that, and then now mitigate and see. If it fails, then what happens? Just like when somebody gives you a check and the check fails to mature, there's a penalty to that process. These agreements, we have to deposit in court, because the whole process that we are demanding is a court process. We are actually to file contempt against each governor and the ministry for non-implementation of the CBA. And even we were to proceed and sanction the industrial action. So then, if they fail to do that in 60 days, it means that it is the county government and the national government that will be on strike on these 60 days. That when we now proceed on strike, it's not a blame on the healthcare workers or the doctors at that time. Yes.
Something that has been asked by your union the idea of the formation of a commission to manage the affairs of the health workers, would this in any way mitigate against these perennial problems that we see coming up with regards to the welfare of the healthcare workers?
Absolutely. Formation of Health Service Commission, or a centralized way of managing healthcare workers, will be an ideal situation to sort out most of these issues. And why am I saying this? If you look at the Controller of Budget report that was given in October to the governors, it indicates that every county government is spending up to 46 to 50% of their budget on the benefits and wages for healthcare workers. And this is because they only get 15% of the national cake. So at the backdrop of this, it means that as much as we are advocating for the counties to employ, and as much as the governors who came to the office have the great urge to have the healthcare work, they do not have the financial muscle to make it function. So there's actual need to remove the aspect of healthcare workers from the counties, because then that will relieve counties over 40% of their funds. And then now the country as a whole can now budget for healthcare workers as per the budget declaration, 15%. Because then that means there will be a plan to have an annual employment of healthcare workers to the counties, which now will post it to the counties, without really counties having to go through that wage burden. And you've seen those services that are still centralized, like the Teacher Service Commission. That's why the president can confidently say, I'll employ 30,000 teachers. And I'll employ this year and that year, because then they can plan and put budget directly for it. The same way it's happening for the armed forces and the police. But then for healthcare workers, because they are of that exists one nation in 48 governments, then it is a subject of what does each county feel. Like even in our agreement, in issues of employment, we could not go to the specific of how many doctors will be employed within this period of 2 months. But we agreed that every governor is to go back and check what amount of budgets can allow them a number of doctors to employ. Which then it means if a country then doesn't have that budget, or has succeeded the Public Finance Act, then they can't employ.
So are we saying, Dr. that what we had previously, before we had the 2010 Constitution, where the employment and the management of healthcare workers was centralized, are we saying that was a better system?
There are the pros and cons of both of them, but one thing that for certain has improved in all the counties by the devolution is the infrastructure. That means every county, they have levels of hospitals that have been built, the structures that have been put in place. And that means there's a will, there's a need to have these access to healthcare put closer to the public. But on that flip side, we have the structures, but we do not have the personnel to actually make this infrastructure offer the services that are needed. And these services are not able to be done because they can't afford to have the healthcare workers. So the human resource component of it is what is actually the issue. That's why we have been advocating for a shared component. Let the structures remain with the counties. Let the aspect of even the drugs and everything remain with the counties, but let human resource be on the side. Because as we speak, the pending bills for KEMSA, for counties with KEMSA is over 200 billion. That means...
200 what?
200 billion. That means as much as doctors are in the hospital offering services, you are very sure that this patient will not get drugs in the from the pharmacy. You're very sure they won't get the reagents. So at the end of the day, you get frustrated because this person, probably the patient cannot afford to go and pay the private hospitals to get private labs or private chemists to get the drugs.
You know, we're saying 200 billion shillings has been supposedly expended. And what we are seeing, is there a presence of that 200 billion anywhere? I mean, 200 billion is a lot of money.
It was for consumables. The drugs came, the drugs were dispensed.
You see, even when these monies were being disbursed and supposedly spent, we were hearing complaints. I would judge this thing as having worked if there was a period when one didn't hear of complaints at all. And a period is not a day, something like 6 months, when hospitals report that they have everything they need for them. But if I look at the strike notices that healthcare workers have had in the counties throughout the country, and usually it's CBA aside, it is the working condition, which means they do not have the wherewithal to be able to conduct their functions well. And what does that mean? The commodities we speak about are available. And yet, we are being told money has been expended. So, 200 billion down the road?
Yeah, it's against how much?
You see, remember, Eric, every time we have this discussion, one of the things that I always ask is, can the counties tell us exactly how it is? This money.
It's against how much, City? I mean,
no.
The thing is, it's not that the hospitals today don't have anything at all. Right?
Do they have the bare minimum?
They have, right? You'll find some painkiller here, you'll find some gauze here, you'll find something there. That is 200
In most cases,
million.
patients are told to come with those things that are required.
That is 200 million. The fact that you'll find those two things there.
No, it can't be 200 million. Doesn't matter what arithmetic. I'm terrible at arithmetic.
It is not once.
You see,
you are very terrible at arithmetic.
No,
27 minutes to 9. Let's take a break. Let's take a break. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Dr. Devji Atela is the Secretary General and CEO of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union. Doctors were to go on strike from today, but they've called off that strike for some 60 days because the government has said, give us some time. Let us look at what the CBA from 2017 contained, what has not been implemented and why. And then we tell you what we can do going forward. So they've said, all right, so let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's hold. But now we want to discuss with the Daktari for him to tell us what exactly has not been implemented in that CBA, so we can all understand and be on the same page. Remember, this Sunday from 8 p.m, if you watch Maisha Magic Plus, you will be able to see the premiere of The Last Door, which is a new investigative true crime series by John Allen Namu. All those crimes that have taken place in this country, some unresolved murders, disappearances, people left, people have not been seen again, people have not come back, people left, people are found dead, murdered. What happened to them? Cases have been inconclusive, some have been conclusive. What has happened to them? So John Allen Namu has started a series where he'll be explaining and giving us some cases blow by blow on what exactly happened. So he told us the first one is on Tekra Muigai.
Yes.
Yeah, the daughter of Senator Tabitha Keroche. And just getting to understand, so what exactly happened to Tekra? What was it? Hearing from Tabitha herself, hearing from Tekra's sister, hearing from Omar Lali himself, hearing from investigators. What do they know? What are the circumstances that led to the death of Tekra Muigai? This and others, The Last Door, which will be showing on Maisha Magic Plus every Sunday, 8 p.m. It's on DSTV. It's your moment.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Eric Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
The baridi ni degree ngapi hapo?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy.
Sunny conditions at 16 in Nairobi, highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 27. In a sunny Nakuru at 14. It's 13 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 25, and highs of 24 in sunny Eldoret at 17. It's sunny at 29 in Mombasa, highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 32 as well in Kakamega, where it's 28 at the moment. 21 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 30 as well in Kakamega, where it's sunny at 19. 22 and sunny conditions in Kampala, highs of 30 and highs of 32, and a partly sunny Dar es Salaam at 29. It's 18 and sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 22 and lows of 11. And it's a hazy Lagos this morning at 23 with highs of 33. 30 will be the high in a cloudy Kinshasa. It's currently 22.
This is 00 Direct, woman host, music by women, and only women guests.
Everything is so larger than life. You kind of have to have a good understanding of who you are. You could easily lose yourself.
We have a global approach in the programs that we put together, meaning that it's not just about refining my business, it's about refining the industry, it's about touching the youth and making sure that in totality, change actually happens.
Catch 00 Direct every Saturday from 10 a.m.
Only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Ombaso coming in from Imaradaima. We're looking at some traffic there, and quite sticky as you pass Cabanas as well. That's most of what we'll see on Mombasa Road. We're also seeing some of it coming off of Uhuru Highway, then connecting into the city. Likoni Road was heavy earlier, and we're still seeing in and outbound traffic on Lunga Lunga and some on Jogo Road as well. Landis Road pretty busy, getting around right around Kamkunji. And Muranga Road also spilling over from the little traffic that came off of the thicker superhighway right around the Pangani underpass. That's what it looks like now. We'll take a look again in about half hour.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Minutes to 9. This is the Situation Room. Our conversation continues with Dr. Dav Giatella, National Secretary General of KMPDU, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union. They decided to use just one P. Okay. KMPDU. All right, Daktari, so you are giving the government the 60 days that they've asked for to look at what can be done and what may not be done. What do you have a list of what you say this would be our irreducible minimum? The government is most likely going to come and tell you. So we promise we are going to look at implementation. So in terms of, for example, posting of interns, we can start with X number of interns who have not been posted, and then the others by within the end of the X number of months, we can have posted all interns. Or they can say there was an issue of pay rise or the issue of implementation of allowances. We can start with 2% and then gradually increase and finish by this much. Do you have an irreducible minimum where you say if the government comes back and they don't say that they're going to take up 1,000 interns immediately, or that the county government of Bomet and the others are going to, in the month of in the month of April, May, implement full medical cover for all healthcare workers in their county, we are going on strike. Do you have such?
Yes, and you see, I will say that this strike that we were to undertake is more specifically not for doctors. The strike was more for Kenyans, and it wouldn't be dubbed doctor strike the way the one of 2017.
Right.
And I'm saying this particularly because of the issues that we are demanding in the CBA. We have seen a lot of frustrations from the public and from the doctors that they cannot provide these services. So some of the things that we brought forth that actually are irreducible are to help the public. One of it is the employment of doctors. And as per the agreement, we have seen scenarios, and they're in existence, where in hospitals, a patient will come to the public hospital and wait for 20 hours or go back home without having to see a doctor. And this is a scenario that we are pushing for. If you then, that hospital has one doctor and then you employ 2 more or 3 more, if you have to wait for 24 hours, you only have to wait for 6 hours. So the person who benefits and get the services is the public.
Okay.
On the issues of like having...
So how many doctors do you want when the government comes back to you? 60 days from now is what? End of February, March?
5th of March.
So when they come to you in March, how many doctors do you want them to say they're going to absorb immediately?
There should be at least a minimum of 1,000 doctors employed, because then that will show progress of employment.
Within this financial year or within the month of March?
One thing that I believe is that the money is in existence in this country. It's just the priority that differs. But when health has been prioritized with the plan that is in existence, I saw, and it's in the manifesto of the government, that they wanted to employ 20,000 healthcare workers.
Yeah.
If that is to be done in 3 years, as the ministry has indicated, that means they will have to employ around 8,000 every year. So if they come with a plan to employ, for example, the 5,000 doctors within that particular plan, then it's a benefit not only for us, it's a benefit to the public to get the services that are needed. That's one thing. Number two, we have doctors who have been frustrated, having been given a promissory note of checks being, of salaries being increased as per the CBA in 2017, and waiting for that for the last 5 years. With the inflation that we see, it makes things very difficult for them. So they should actually come up with a plan to implement that basic salary. We actually do not need salary increase. We just need what was to be paid 5 years ago to be paid. So you see, this is not like we want a salary increase based on the inflation and the changes that have taken place over time. We just want that agreement that was done that time that made doctors go back to work.
Are there counties that implemented it?
No, 0 counties implemented that.
So 0 pay rise for doctors across the country?
For 5 years. And based on the agreement that was done.
So the question that I'd asked you off air, which I want to now ask you on air, is this implementable?
It is extreme. By the time that this document goes through all these government agencies, from SRC, where SRC filed a letter of no objection on May 2016, before Lynette Dolo, the judge, that they have no problem with it. The Public Service Commissions went through this particular document. Each of the 47 counties signed. The Ministry of Health signed. If somebody comes and say that they're not able to implement it, then that's a clear sign of incompetency.
Because they signed without
before
objection.
You sign, you must have a clear understanding of what is to be done on this particular thing. So you see, we're not now in the question of is it implementable from them. And that's why the judge also gave an order that it's unfair labor practice, it is injustice to the doctors that 4 years, it was in 2021, that 4 years down the line, this CBA has not been implemented, and ordered the counties to implement, the government to implement this within 60 days. And the court, part 3 said, then if this fails, then the court is going to sanction industrial action on behalf of the doctors. So that means that even if we proceed to court to strike, it will be a protected strike.
This one will be a protected
strike, yes. And actually, we also have a leeway to cite both the county government and the national government on contempt of court for having not implemented this. And the court gave out the other leeway that you want to go see how much interest should have been paid, because it's all about priority. It's not about that there's no money for that and there's money for other things. Because with that implementation of that article, it is clear evidence that many, even doctors, will be attracted to the government. The retention rate will be much higher.
To move into the public service. Yeah. You said something that for majority of the counties, over 45% of their budget goes into paying doctors. Did I get you right?
According to the report from the Dr. Margaret, that's the controller of budgets, that to the governors, you see that the Public Finance Management Act indicate that 35% of the wages and bills should not be there should not be expenses of more than that
for the entire
county workforce.
35% should not be more than 35%. But the report indicates that apart from 4 counties, that is Kwale, Tana River, Wajir, the rest of the counties is at 46% and some at 50%. It goes to the wages and benefits.
Higher than 46.
Some are even up to 60% of their budget goes into payment of workers.
All workers.
And see, the majority of workers, 90%, 80% of the workers in the counties are health workers, health workforce. Yes.
You know, when you say it's implementable, I'm thinking, what could possibly have happened that we can look at and understand that could have delayed this process? Because, for instance, when was this agreement signed?
2017.
Precisely.
July.
In between, have we not had COVID?
We did.
No. I'm just asking, have we not had COVID?
We have.
Have we not faced the ravages of COVID?
We have.
Yes, because whether we like it or not, COVID guaranteed one thing. All governments on this planet could not do what they had planned to do before COVID. They just didn't have the money to do it. It's just a simple reality. Now, when the union talks to the government with the background of something like, say, the COVID ravages, what understanding do you arrive at? Because I know you understand it, the government understands it. How do you balance this?
if you look at during the COVID time, and I will say the healthcare workers were branded as soldiers in the process.
Yes.
Because they had put the front line into this.
Yes, and they suffered as a consequence
of that. And one of the issues that we raised in our intent to strike was the aspect of the PPEs, other aspect of the commodities in the hospitals and the equipment, which form part of the basis of the strike for doctors, that the notice that were given in 2020 during the process of COVID-19. And actually, we saw a strike notice and a strike for doctors, for nurses, for clinical officers. One indication that was there is that as much as there's a superficial, I would say superficial, rather PR aspect of giving glory to the healthcare workers of the same, there's no clear-cut interest to invest in healthcare to make it work. If you look at the budget of 2022-2023, for example, the country, the budget for healthcare was at 4.4%. So there's no any way you can have any functional universal coverage or healthcare service with that particular amount of budget. And that makes it impossible to implement some of these policies and the documents that have been agreed with the government. So the first start is to actually increase the funds for healthcare in the country. And that's what will actually help even the public to have this service delivery that is much needed.
Are reasons ever given? I mean, there's the assumption that, okay, maybe why there's a lot of monetary value that is attributed to the CBAs. Every time there's an issue, usually it's monetary or the lack of it that is what has stopped authority from, implementation of CBA, for example. But do you hear in the course of the conversation, do you hear, okay, guys, the reason why we're not able to do this is because, there is a gap here. We don't have enough in terms of money. Does that actually come out? The reasons as to why there has been lack of implementation of CBAs historically and today. Have you been given the reasons as to why in this conversation?
The biggest reason that resonates, that every governor and every county gives, and even national governments give, even for not posting interns, is the issue of finance and the issue of money. But this is very much a problem that we must see a way to resolve it. And if you see one of the communications that was done by the director, the WHO, was very clear that any country that sees healthcare as an expenditure, that you qualify healthcare in terms of recurrent expenditure, then therefore you make very high caps to it. But if you look at healthcare in total as an investment that it can make and result into a robust economy, because then you're going to have a healthy economy who will be able to work, we're going to have even those infrastructure that are being built to be used by the healthy people, then it changes that particular matrix into a functional healthcare system. But the moment is still under the current expenditure, the way it is in our country now, where they cap it at a particular amount, and therefore the budget becomes very low, then that is what brings the constrictions that make it not to function. So there's an absolute need and a deliberate process that both the national government, the county government need to look at. And that's why we must have the need to have an harmonization aspect, that a budget is put up for healthcare as an investment to make things work. Yes.
So you said that this strike is a citizens' strike. Yes. It's not a health worker strike. It's because it's for the benefit of citizens.
Yes.
We've had this before.
Yes.
In 2020, when the clinical officers were going on strike, it was the same thing. In 2016, when Dr. Oluga and the others were leading the strike, they were telling us it's the same thing. We're hearing it the same from Dr. Atela in 2023. What's new?
I think because
most of the components that I hear here are about salaries and allowances for doctors, and little to do with actually pushing for more health facilities, for this drugs, equipment and commodities in the health facilities. The number one thing that I hear you pushing for is your own salaries and allowances.
If you look at the internet notice, it has 8 points, and 5 points out of it are actually on the healthcare. There's one thing that we must be alive to. We live in this country. We saw the situation of Master Travis from Thika. We have seen many of those scenarios in this country. And the old blame that comes, even from Mama Lucy, you see it's going to the doctors.
Yep.
We have, as a whole of Nairobi County, I'm sure this new governor will change the scenario, where there's no ICU. If you want an ICU in this Nairobi County, you'll have to be referred to Kiambu or to Machakos. So, and the cases that we saw at Mama Lucy, doctors in that particular facility had to improvise a way to sustain the patient before it's transferred.
Yep.
And these are cases that happen everywhere. So it then means that if we need this equipment, by this notice that we gave, the collective bargaining agreement is to provide tools for operations, tools for service delivery, that we must have those equipments at the point of work. I've said that we need to have medicines and drugs in the facilities. I will tell you today that 72%, according to the Infotrack data that was done last year, of the public will go to the public facilities.
Yep.
But then, how many will get the services that they need? First of all, they will take too long to see the doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why there are no doctors there is because they have not been employed. So you will not be able to see them. And if there is a doctor that you happen to wait for long and see this doctor, then there are no reagents in the lab. So you have to get the request and diagnosis outside. And if that happens, you have to get the drugs, not in the pharmacy. The drugs have to get outside. So at the end of the day, the mental cases, the frustration, we'll call it the bewilderment of frustrations of the doctors in the facility, not equipped to offer the services, is enormous. And to that point, we have level 5 hospitals, level 3, level 4, level 3. The other day, we saw in Thika level 5, they had just about 7 medical officers. That is a big shortage in that particular hospital. And this is not only in Thika. This resonates in the whole country, that a level of hospital cannot perform the function that it has because there's a big shortage. And that's what we are saying, that why can't the counties and national government employ the doctors to work?
And they've already been trained.
They've already been trained.
We have trained doctors who have not been absorbed by government.
We have about 5,000 trained doctors who have gone through internship and have not been employed. And we have a big shortage within the facilities. So there's an artificial excess. So you have been qualified, you need to be employed, but you're not employed. But there was a time a doctor was arrested in Kenage. Why? Because he's idle and he's free and he feels like he's rusting. So he went there to offer an emergency services there without having really the process, the requirements. Yes, because he's a human. It is to offer the services, but there's no provision for them to offer that services. So that is in existence. So with all this, the person who benefits by having the doctors in the hospitals, by all the things that we demand, is the public. Because the cost of healthcare will actually be reduced when you go to the hospital and you're able to get these services without having to go to the private.
And within the shortest time.
Yes.
So there is a shortage. The shortage that currently exists, and I think this is really important here because that now needs to come out. The shortage that currently exists is healthcare workers across the country to be able to fill up the gaps in different health facilities, right? And we're also saying at the same time that there are a number who are unemployed. So it only makes sense that you would use one to fill the other. And are we saying the only reason why we cannot fill the gaps is because the healthcare workers have not been employed because there's no funding to do that?
That's exactly what the governments have been giving us, both the county government and national government. They say the issue of budget. But you see, you cannot quantify the lives of people that are not able to access the services based on that.
Yes.
And that's why we feel it's the strongest breach within our CBA.
Okay.
Because then those who are there work overtime. You find that you are on call throughout. If you go to these hospitals, the interns will work over 120 hours a week. They will work throughout. They don't have any times off. If you go to those hospitals, you realize that some of these level 4s, there's no any other doctor apart from the interns. And those few consultants that are there are working in that particular level 4, and another level 4, they serve within the levels of hospitals within that particular county. So then there's no service to the public. But if we employ, even time for leave is available for the doctors. Yes. The other thing is we have many cases or conditions that are there in the rural areas and other places in the country, that if there are doctors employed in those particular areas, they can have highly diagnosis of them, to the point that when they go to level 5 or level 6, they're managed. But now the first point of diagnosis of conditions or chronic conditions will be in the level 4, level 5s, when there are stages that are just offering, you can just offer palliative care. So that's one reason why we say there's much need to employ the doctors, and to actually look for mechanisms to retain them, but by complying to the condition, the agreements, the contracts the constitutional contract in the CBAs. Yes.
We'll continue the conversation in the next hour, and we want people now to call in and say whether they agree with doctors that there is a need for them to go on strike. Should the government come back in 60 days and they don't meet any of these conditions? Yes, there's a 2017 CBA that was signed, like CT has cited. In the preceding years, then there was COVID.
Yes.
There is drought. There is the war in Ukraine. There's a new government. There are very many things that have happened that could have affected the full implementation of this 2017 CBA. So should doctors really go on strike at this particular point or not? We'll be asking you to call in on 0719 012 Ndu. Tell the Daktari about Kiwi and school fees.
There's a way you can step up and shine, Daktari. What we're saying is go into any of your supermarkets today. You buy the Kiwi black shoe polish. Under the lid is a code that after which you dial *45*9#, you will send that code to that number. You will win instantly. Not tomorrow, instantly. Airtime or bundles. It's up to you. You also then get a chance to be entered into a draw whereby folks are winning 35,000 shillings every week until the 7th of February. It goes towards school fees. Step up and shine with Kiwi.
Yeah, kabisa. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Dr. Davji Atela is the National Secretary General and CEO of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union. He is here with us telling us why the doctors have called off their strike, have suspended their strike, that they've issued a strike notice, that have gone on strike from today. They have given the government until the 5th of March. The governor said, give us some time. Let us look at this. This is the national government being led by the CS for Health, and the county is being led by the chairperson of the Health Committee at the Council of Governors. This is Governor Sakaja, isn't it?
Yes, the Labour Committee, Labour
Chair. And the Labour Chair and Muthoni Njuki is the Health Committee Chair. Those two. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The cabinet retreat in Nanyuki enters the second day today, with President William Ruto expected to lead his cabinet in laying strategies and laying down its plans for the year. The retreat brings together high-ranking members of the executive arm of government, including cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, as well as his advisors on various issues. Among other things, the president and his cabinet is expected to deliberate the fifth administration's key priority areas, especially on economic transformation. And United Democratic Alliance Party candidate Baro Deko Mohammed has won the Garissa Township parliamentary by-election. Deko, who is a brother-in-law of Defence Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale and immediate former Member of Parliament, garnered 11,572 votes to win the seat. The returning officer for Garissa Township constituency by-election, Abdi Yunus Mohammed, declared him the winner this morning. His competitors, Nasir Dolal Mohammed of the UDM, got 8,158 votes. Abdi Khaim Osman Mohammed of DP, Abdi Faisal Amin of ODM, Muhyiddin Ahmed Abdi Rashid of DAP Kenya, and Ibrahim Nur Malo Sharia of Kenya got 840. A total of 21,218 votes were cast, representing 39.84% voter turnout. Speaking after being declared the winner, Deko pledged to serve the people of Garissa Township fully and offer them the services they need. Deko also expressed his gratitude for all those who voted for him. The by-elections were marred by low voter turnout. A spot check in most of the polling stations that opened at 6 a.m. in Garissa showed no queues, with polling clerks idling as they waited for voters to come and vote. Now, the boundaries disputes between Makueni, Kwale and Taita Taveta counties will be resolved through a traditional dispute resolution mechanism. The resolution was reached during an ad hoc committee meeting of Council of Governors that was chaired by Bungoma County Governor Ken Lusaka. The resolution of the parties will now be escalated to the summit for determination. And a Mombasa businessman was found guilty of trafficking heroin, whose street value is estimated to be worth 3 million shillings. According to the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecutions, 8 witnesses testified against the accused, Abdul Majid Msalam Timami, before Mombasa resident magistrate Rita Aurora, who found him guilty of the offence. Magistrate Aurora also ordered that the vehicle in which the drugs were recovered be relinquished back to the state. Timami's sentencing will be made on January 11th, according to Aurora, who ordered the suspect remains in custody till then. In Kenya's Kerio Valley, gun-toting bandits rule with an iron fist. For decades, parts of Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot and Laikipia counties have become synonymous with the bandit raids that have left hundreds dead and thousands displaced. The modus operandi of these criminal gangs involves cattle raids, ambushes and indiscriminate shooting of their victims, striking fear among locals who continue to bear the brunt of the continuous assaults that have literally turned the Kerio belt into hell on earth. Security personnel have not been spared either in the onslaught. In 2012, armed bandits killed 42 police officers in one of the deadliest attacks in Baragoi's Suguta Valley. And the apparent movement of assorted equipment from Kakamega-based Sugarmila Mumias has reignited a fresh wave of suspicion, casting doubt on government's recent commitment to help settle a debt owed to the farmers. Concerns emerged after trail tracks were photographed carrying what appeared to be factory equipment from Mumias Sugar Factory. The latest activity came just weeks after President William Ruto announced a plan to revive the sugar mill. During a meeting with local leaders at the Kakamega State Lodge on December 9, 2022, President Ruto committed to find a new strategic investor to replace Ugandan farm Sarai, which had controversially won a lease to run the mill in December 2021. Now, the United States has called on leaders in the Great Lakes and actors in the Eastern DRC to speed the implementation of the commitments to end the ongoing conflict. The U.S. singled out parties to a November 23rd accord signed at the Luanda Mini Summit on Peace and Security. While welcoming the recently released midterm report by the United Nations group of experts, the U.S. Department of State spokesperson Ned Price said in a statement that President Joe Biden's administration shares the concerns outlined in the report about the sharp increase in violence and the deterioration in the security and humanitarian situation in the Central Africa state. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, a few minutes after 9 o'clock, and we're not seeing too much of a change in the traffic situation. Coming off Jogo Road, it seems to be easing off some as you're trying to get into the CBD, but whatever on earth is happening at that Imara drift and then heading out towards General Motors looks a bit worrisome now. Lunga Lunga is also pretty busy as well. Thika Superhighway, not much going on there, but we have some traffic right around Pangani at the underpass, and then now it's starting to build up on Kiambu Road. For whatever reason, I do not know, but we'll keep an eye on that. Shouldn't be too crazy, at least not for now. Looks good coming out of Westlands into the CBD. You should be all right. Coming all the way through to Mombasa Road, should you need to do that. So it looks all right for traffic for now. Just keep talking. Take a look in about half hour. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning and welcome to the final hour of The Situation Room this week, the first week of 2023, the first Friday of the year as well. The Situation Room continues with Dr. Davji Atela, who's the Secretary General and CEO of KMPDU, with regards to doctors, the welfare of the healthcare sector in this country. And I remind you as well that today is Friday, tomorrow is Saturday, and then Sunday comes, and at 8 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus, what happens, Ndu?
There will be the
premiere of
that's the word I was looking for.
The Last Door. Yes, this new investigative series by John Allan Namu, which is looking at true crime, what has happened in the country in the past, many murders, disappearances, and all things that have happened in the country, and we just don't have the answers. So he's gone to speak to the people involved, either the duty bearers, the investigators, the prosecutors, some people from the judiciary, some people from close to the people who disappeared, family members, friends, and just to bring a story. So what happened to so-and-so? And the last door is basically, he said, the last door is last time seen, last place seen, last position seen, or last time heard from. The Last Door, coming up on Sunday, 8 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV. It's your moment. CT, the day's proverb.
Yes, isn't it just the time for that proverb?
It is.
Right. Anyone who plants trees before they die, as if they could plant trees after they had died, anyone who plants trees before they die has not lived in vain.
Anyone who plants trees before they die has not lived in vain.
Yes.
Yes.
It's called a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Something that outlives you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? See, like now, Daktari here, when this CBA we speak of is signed and implemented, okay, before the doctors agitate for the next CBA, he will have planted trees. Most definitely. Because he'll be remembered. When Dr. Atela was our Secretary General, that is when we signed, that's when things changed.
He planted trees.
Planted trees. If you, our MP for Seme, one, Dr. Nikal, in his time, these are the individuals who agitated for what we now have as a union. And they suffered for it. Hey, people left the country, some were thrown in jail, they were removed from doctors' houses. So, again, they planted trees. And now we see the fruits of those trees.
Now we see them.
Yes, people like, I said Nikal. Yes, Dr. Rogo, that lot of people.
Yes. Okay. Mutama Rico is saying, ask Dr. Davji why the government has not changed the terms of health care workers who are employed on contract to permanent and pensionable, despite them working in hard conditions when they were employed during the COVID pandemic. So those that were taken up during the COVID pandemic on contract and some were interns, are they being absorbed?
I want to answer that as I answer what Kitty asked earlier. That we have had difficult economic conditions with COVID and everything else. That why then are we having this thing done now? If you look really as a country, we talk about new government now. We talk about there was government previously, but the commitment as a country that we have to sort out and to be at a good debt records with IMF and with the Chinas and with all the Western countries is very clear. So it is very important that that commitment to be the good books meant to get more loans with these particular bodies should be given to the healthcare. That means they should be given to the commitments to implement the CBAs. Because if these loans are taken, the people who benefit, quote unquote, for the services like roads and everything must be healthy. And therefore, if the healthcare is affected in that process, then there's no value to all of them. So that commitment needs to be translated. On this thing of contracts, the Public Service Commission guidelines is very clear on how healthcare workers and workers need to be employed. And it's specific that all the workers need to be employed on permanent and pensionable terms.
Yep.
But there's some contravention that the government sometimes undertake. For example, for the case of these healthcare workers that they put on contracts, they do this as a punitive action. And there's a judgment that was very clear recently that any worker should not be employed on discriminatory terms as for those others who do the same job. Everybody, if you are doctors in the same hospital, somebody should not be employed on contract with others
when others are permanent.
Because when you are on contract, you cannot have, you are not sure your career progression. When you are on contract, you are not sure, you cannot get health cover. When you are on contract, you don't have any pensions that are there. So it's actually also a discriminatory aspect, which is also contravenes the Constitution. That's why that judgment came out. And we are out as a union to ensure that every employee, every worker within the health sector, the doctors and the team, actually employed in the right terms. Yes, and that was also part of our notice for the intended strike action, because then that gives the retention, that makes somebody has peace that I can go
knowing that now I have a job,
train further even to come and offer the services.
When you talk about the 2017 collective bargaining agreement, which was signed by the union and the union leadership then in 2017, and the governors who were in office then, plus the CS for Health then. Am I right?
Yes.
All the 47 governors then signed.
Yes.
And the Cabinet Secretary for Health then signed.
Yes.
And the then Cabinet Secretary for Health was Dr. Mailu, was it?
Dr. Mailu, yes.
Yeah. So, implementation of this is the reason why you're threatening to go on strike.
Yes.
So the new cohort of governors that came in after 2018, which of them implemented this? Is there any county that you can say made some progress towards the implementation, or are you just saying blanket there was less than 50% implementation, so we go on strike, or are you acknowledging those that made an effort?
In terms of the implementation of the CBA, there's a component that I would say there's nil implementation. Actually, that was a judgment of the court. That's the Article A of this particular CBA. There was a nil implementation in 47 counties.
Nil implementation.
Nil implementation. That means that part of the salaries was nil.
Salaries, nobody implemented a pay rise
in the whole country for that particular part. Then the aspect of the employment of the doctors, we can say in the whole country is about 5%. As a country, that's what we see in that prospect. Then on the part of the promotions, we have, I'll call as the highest level of frustrations among the doctors, even the consultants, within the whole country. But then I will give credit to Nakuru County, because at least there's a big number of doctors that are promoted in that county. Also give credit to Nairobi Metropolitan Services, because in the 2020 September they also did a big part of it, and also Kericho, and also a good credit to Makueni County. Those actually did something on that particular part
on promotion,
on the promotion aspects. But then the other counties is still a journey for them. Then when you look at the issues of the medical cover, well, I would say the county that has actually left most of the workers within that county, not even wanting to work there, is Bomet County, where we have tried to discuss this with like 3 previous governors to have it implemented. So it's been an issue, and even it was one of the biggest riding things in the meeting yesterday. Yes, and also the aspect that when county governments have not remitted the statutory deductions to NHIF, and therefore your
NHIF is also not active.
Not active. So you go to the hospitals. The deductions have been done, but you can't get the care. That has been a very common phenomenon to almost 21 counties in the country.
I mean, I know that we've posed this question before, but then in light of what is currently happening with waiting for these 60 days to now get governors as well as the ministry to kind of get their ducks in a row, in this matter specifically, how would a commission help? And I'm going to do a comparison, if you'll allow me, to the Teachers Service Commission. Going into the end of the year, it was clear that, well, actually, probably before that, it was clear that they were going to need more teachers coming into 2023 with the split that we see in the curriculum, right? The commission handles all of that. It's not a question of schools in this particular area, maybe we don't have... They handle that. The conversation they're having between commission and ministry is very clear. We need teachers, we are going to hire. We deal with our other issues. Of course, they're having their own issues, we know that. But do you see a commission then being instrumental in sorting out some of these issues that you're currently facing?
Absolutely. When you look into the Police Service Commission, when you look at the Teacher Service Commission, or even the Armed Forces, and when you look at the budget year, when the budget cycle comes, there's a particular budget that is put for that. For these functions, there's a budget for human resource aspect and for everything that pertains to it, and therefore this commission can actually plan and see how many schools we have in the country and the distributions of these particular teachers per that particular year. But on the flip side, when you have the counties and the way the money goes into the counties, it goes as a blanket, it goes totally together. So it's the prerogative of the counties then to start budgeting how much goes for healthcare, how much goes for workers, how much goes for promotion and for all these things. So most of the times, all the activities within the county will override each other. And many counties will not then look at the human resource aspect as a component that need to be given priority. And that's why we say if we need to have the service provision adequately as per the WHO even pillars, then we need to handle the health workers differently. And we need to have a budget that is put in place to ensure that there's employment. If you look at the last 5 years, our population has been increasing. But the report from Council of Governors, for example, for the year 2021-2022, which was released last year, July, it indicated that in the 1 year period, that only employed 700 healthcare workers, and in that 700 healthcare workers, if it is aggregated downwards, you realize that about 70 doctors in the whole country, or at most 100 doctors in the whole country, particularly almost 200-300 nurses. So that number is actually very low for that year. But then, if that was to be done by commission, we will talk about a figure of about 50,000 healthcare workers, because then that will truncate down to almost all the sub-cadres within the health sector, and that certainly will improve the service provision.
What will it take then to have that conversation escalate to that level? Must we have a constitutional amendment to have a health services commission?
I must give credit to the current group of governors that we have, because they seem to be more progressive in the ideas of healthcare. And this happens because they came in with a lot of promises to change healthcare, and probably that's why they dislodged the opponents and dislodged the previous governors, because the governors that were there previously had they didn't want to hear anything regarding the Health Service Commission. And in fact, even when it was in that project for BBI, they are the ones who made sure that it was not part of the discussions. But now time has come where by the governors who came in are realizing that this aspect of human resources is a burden also to them, because it needs money, it needs a budgeting, which they can't get.
And they have to keep dealing with strikes all the time.
Yes. And again, this government, the Kenya Kwanza, in their manifesto, they indicated they're going to be mediators between the healthcare workers and the county governments to ensure that we have that particular aspect of Health Service Commission, because this will help even in the training. The other thing that we discussed with the Council of Governors that is very important and need to be looked into strongly is the doctors and postgraduate studies. You see, a county releases, we have about 1,200 doctors across the country who are doing the postgraduate. And see, when you're doing a postgraduate, you are actually offering the special services in Kenyatta or in MTRH. So you are not really in the class.
So you're in working. Any of the two referral hospitals?
Yes, either Maseno or KUTRH or KNH or MTRH, you're actually working. So in this process, the counties that pays you then are overburdened by the number of the personnel that they can employ. That increases the shortage within the counties. So there's absolute need, and this was discussed last year and the previous year, that the county revenue, the CARA, need to actually allocate per head for those counties the number of doctors that are in postgraduate to employ more doctors.
So to absorb doctors, so they can cover for the ones that are
training
in postgraduate. So the other question I wanted to ask is, since 2017, in the 2018-2019 financial year, 2020-2021 financial year, 22-20, has there been an allocation, a budgetary allocation towards implementation of the CBA? Like saying, so in the last financial year, Mr. Speaker, X amount of money had gone into the services. We have to increase because we are acknowledge that we have a CBA in place. That's why we are allocating more money, appropriating more money towards this.
I believe that from the onset of the CBA in 2017, there has been budget allocation for its implementation because it went through all the channels. It went through the treasury before it was signed. It went to all these particular departments. It's just, as I said, somebody who has not really done his job to ensure that it is implemented. And that's why there's a lot of frustration. And that's why we've written letters to it to have it implemented. And we actually went to court for it. The court process is not very quick. It's actually a lethargic process. It took about 11 months to actually get the judgment. So that is a clear indication that the funds for it are there. It's just that the mechanisms to make it be released are that what probably has been lacking.
But is it really there, Dr. Like if you went to the records of the county government, pick any county government, all right? Look at the point when the CEC for Finance went to the county assembly with a budget proposal and said, this is what we'd like to spend in the next financial year. Was there a request to appropriate more money to health sector? And the justification of it being that we are going to, this one is going to increase the salaries and allowances because we have a CBA in place. We want to hire more doctors, and these are the number of doctors we want to hire. We want to implement a medical cover for the doctors, and the county assembly okayed that for them to implement. Was that actually there in the county?
See, that would be variant for every particular specific counties in the sense how they put it up. And that's why we have a number of counties that have implemented these other aspects of like the medical cover, those that have actually looked into the aspect of promotions, because then they put it as a priority. At the onset of the CBA, on that part of Article A of it and the part of allowances, that was in the budget. It is just that the configuration of this payment system was not done, and that made it not to be put into the place for the basic salaries. And I believe that was what caused the delays. That's why I say there's some people who have to do their job for this thing to work. And number two, because there was no any way it would be signed and start getting implemented, because we signed it in July and the implementation started in November.
Yeah.
So there's no way they will implement part of it and ignore part of it. I believe it was somehow deliberate. And that's why we've been on the way to try to push it to be done. On this aspect of employment and making and getting more workers or more doctors to work in the counties, it just goes hand in hand with the aspect of the drugs and the aspect of the equipment. As much as the counties know these things are necessary, they're absolutely needed to be there. If they don't prioritize it at that time and say we want to construct this particular hospital for the public to see that we are working, we want to have these, because there have been a lot of, I will say, elephant projects within the county, white elephant projects everywhere of hospitals that have been built, but there's no functions in them. So as you do that, you know very well that you just need a hospital. You need them to have labs, you need them to have workers, you need them to have the drugs.
Yeah.
So if that is not budgeted for, but the constructions is budgeted for, then that's what gives us the gap that we see.
The gaps.
Yes.
You know, I'm actually driving towards putting the union in the rightful position in this particular conversation.
Yes.
In terms of, you've signed a CBA.
Yes.
Now, the Secretariat of the Union, which is you and your others who work with you, have the job of making sure that this CBA is being implemented in the annual development plans every year in the budgets. Now, do you sit in the budget-making conversations? Do you look at the budget proposals at the point when budgets are being made by the specific each individual county to make sure that you have ensured your component of the CBA has been input there? Because if it's not, you'll come back 5 years later and you'll be saying, this CBA was not implemented, and you will not be able to track at what point it wasn't implemented. Yet maybe you'd have had an opportunity to push for its implementation if you participated in the budget making process.
We don't necessarily participate on the nitty-gritties of budget-making processes, but there's the component of the public participation that happens in all the counties, and the national one always happens at the KICC. In the preceding years, we have been giving our proposals, including the aspect of the human resource, the drugs, the components of the CBAs in total. We've been giving that to all these particular counties and even to the national in the public participation, because our union is divided to the point that even at the county levels we have the county liaisons and regional reps who will present these. But you see, even the way the law has it in the public participation, you just present this, but then the prerogative of the committee or the task force that is doing it, they decide what then goes down in the final document.
That's true, Dr. But you have a legally registered CBA.
Yes.
Now, as KMPDU, I'm speaking now on behalf of the members of KMPDU.
Yes.
You, the CEO, and the Secretariat of KMPDU have the mandate to ensure that this is implemented.
Yes.
And if a budget has been passed by the Nairobi County Assembly, and the CEC for Finance, Charles Kerich, went to the Nairobi County Assembly, and KMPDU was not aware whether this aspects of implementation of the CBA have been incorporated in this, then you're dropping the ball on behalf of your members.
Now,
you ought to be the one who's raising the red flag and saying to the county assembly, to the chair of the health committee in the county assembly, or the chair of budget or chair of finance in the county assembly, please do not pass this budget because it does not have this component, which should be there.
If you get down to the counties, on the county governments that you've seen, we all talk about the many industrial actions that have been seen in the scenario. Some of the results that were causing this, and when we do over all these notices, we actually copy the health committee in the county assemblies and the courts and all the departments, and we bring out that we are given proposals for these things to be included. But then they will say that these matters will be in the supplementary budgets. So it's up to the point that the workers, within the counties, even nationally, goes to withholding the services, that this discussion becomes more serious. And
are you saying, Dr. that there is nothing you can do to make sure that your CBA is implemented?
And that's why they have things to do.
Apart from calling for a strike?
If you look at our framework that we put in place, we have got a judgment from the court that is there out to be obeyed. And you see, by the time that we are going successful in industrial action, there is an absolute contempt of this court order. And by the time we are going to court to get the court orders, we have done all the proposals, we have put our participations even in all these forums. So then the only bargaining chip that is actually recognized worldwide, ILO Convention 87 and 98, and even in our constitution, that by the time that the employer or the government do not listen to all these other mechanisms, the last resort then is to withhold that sacred services that you have to give. Because then that now makes them see that all these other approaches that you have put in place have not been honored.
Essentially, you're saying that everything that needed to be done has been done.
Yes.
Every process that needed to be followed has been followed. Yes. And by the time you're going to court, that was yet part of these processes. And the court pronounced itself on this matter. And despite that, you are still giving the government 60 days.
Yes.
I hear that, and I agree. I'm just saying that there's something else that still the Secretariat of KMPDU can do.
What were you suggesting?
That right now we are talking about the 2023-2024 budget.
Yes.
At this point, have you had a sit down with the CEC for Health in Nairobi, the CEC Finance in Nairobi, and told them? Have you had a sit down with the chair of the Health Committee in the County Assembly of Nairobi, the chair of Budget and Committee of the County Assembly of Nairobi, and told them, flag, look out for this. We will be looking out for it. If this is not included in the plan for the budget, we raise the red flag at that point, and we tell the people, do not support the approval of this budget. If that budget is not passed, it will be because KMPDU said our CBA has not been included in this.
So
it's basically it's giving you more work, but it's the work that the Secretariat of KMPDU should be doing anyway.
If you look at our part of our agreement, we agree that every county has to constitute their CBA implementation matrix to be chaired by the governors.
Yes.
And the members of that particular committee are the CEC Finance, the Chief Officer Finance, CEC Health, Chief Officer Health, Accountable Service Board, and the Human Resource component of it. So they are to get down and see why have they not been able to implement this, and then report to the full council, I think, the month of February.
Yes.
So we have put that initiative to see that these particular...
Have they done that? Did they do that? Did they draw up the implementation matrices?
Yes, we actually
have
we have that.
For per county?
Per county,
okay.
To all the counties.
And the budget component, the cost component per year each?
For this implementation.
Okay.
Yes.
So it makes the work even easier.
So you see, it was
so
part
at the point
of
budget. At the point of budget, then you can just be going to look, we need X amount of money extra in this financial year's budget. If it's not there, you just flag it and say, according to the law, what has been registered, which is legal, this is not there, so this budget is illegal.
So then actually they have to budget for it. Yes, because we see on the flip side, we saw the case of like Kipia situation where we had an industrial action for a period, and the former government actually dismissed the doctors. There was a court order that reinstated these doctors with arrears for their salaries from the point of termination. But then when this new government came into office, because this is the government for hope, not only for the doctors, but even for the people of Laikipia, the first thing, even before it was sworn in, is to look at what is the implication of having all these consultants back to serve the people of Laikipia. And the budget was about 300 million. And we sat down as a union, okay, fine, what can the county afford and what can the doctors give away? To the point that by the time doctors were saying, fine, we can give this kind of 100 million for this and say pay arrears of 170 million, county say they're comfortably can sort this out. And in that essence, if you look, that county, the service delivery has changed. Because the consultants are back, the doctors are back, and services are being offered.
So you have more health workers.
There are more health workers.
Good. Let's take a break. 27 minutes to 10. We want to hear from you now. 0719 012 600. Do you think doctors are justified to actually go on strike this time? The government has not implemented the 2017 collective bargaining agreement. They went on strike in 2016. That's a famous strike that went over 100 days. And they signed a CBA with the government. And Dr. Atala, who is the Secretary General of KMPDU, is telling us, in terms of, for example, salaries and allowances, there has been zero implementation. Just small time implementation of other aspects of this CBA in terms of, for example, absorption of doctors who are interns, in terms of talking about medical cover for them and others. The CBA basically has not been implemented by any of the 47 counties countrywide. And doctors were saying, we are going on strike to enforce the implementation of this. Should they? Should they not? Let's hear from you. 0719 012 600. Showmax, showmax.com or Showmax app is the way to get this beautiful entertainment wherever you are, on your mobile device, on your smart device. It's a mobile phone, a smart TV, a gaming console, and all you need to do is subscribe to Showmax for as little as how much?
300 shillings.
Imagine.
300 bob a month. Make sure you get yourself that 26 to 10.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Meet the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 series with a new epic standard for tablets. The Galaxy Tab S8, S8 Plus, and S8 Ultra come with the brand new S8 Pen, so you can power your creativity and take your productivity to the next level. Featuring the fastest chip ever on a Samsung Galaxy tablet, you can be sure of lightning fast speeds when you play or work. Connect your Tab S8 to your other Galaxy devices for a seamless, continuous experience. Available in select Samsung stores countrywide.
Yolanda Mulwa, DJ Absolute. When the gang is together, got the sugar, got the spice.
Yorada.
Yes.
I have missed you like hot hamburgers. Yeah?
Like hot hamburgers.
You know, bad boys give more money than you can count.
Hey, bad boys give more money than you can count. If it's fun, it's funky, it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it here. I don't know what you do every day from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock, but if I were you, I'd tune in to
Sugar and Spice only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So if you say it's on, then it's on.
Yeah. Sunny conditions in Nairobi at 16. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 15. It's sunny at 19 in Nakuru, going to highs of 27. And we'll see highs of 25 in Nyeri, where it's sunny at 15. 19 going to highs of 24 in Eldoret. And 29 going to highs of 32 in Mombasa. It's sunny at 29 in Malindi, highs of 32 and lows of 27. Sunny conditions at 25 in Kisumu, going to highs of 30. And we'll see highs of 30 in a sunny Kakamega at 25. It's sunny at 23 in Kampala, 30 and sunny out in Dar es Salaam, and we're looking at mostly sunny conditions at 20 in Johannesburg. It's 23 and hazy in Lagos with highs of 33. We'll see highs of 30 in Kinshasa. Looking out into Beijing, going into Friday evening, it's sunny at 8, highs of 9 and lows of -8, while 11 and cloudy in Paris. We'll see highs of 13. It'll go to highs of 12 in London, where it's cloudy at 8, and rain showers now in New York late into Thursday night. Coming into Friday, we'll see highs of 9 and lows of 3.
Spice up your life.
Just a little bit of traffic coming off Waiaki Way out onto into the city rather, and we have some that is easing off coming off of Muthaiga Square. CBD is where you find the most of it, and Jogo Road still busy until now. It looks better on Lunga as it does on Likoni, so you shouldn't have a problem with that at all. Friday looks like a good day traffic wise. Let's keep it that way. SpiceFM KE, talk to us through the morning. Keep things moving.
Spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
9012 should doctors go on strike. So they have given the government has said, give us this 60 days to look at what we can implement, and then we'll give you a response. The likelihood is that they are not going to implement the CBA in this financial year. That's the reality, all right? Budgets have been passed. We only have 5 months to the end of the financial year, so likelihood of this CBA not being implemented, highly likely. When does the CBA expire? It's a 5-year CBA, right?
It's a 4-year.
It's a 4-year CBA. So you are now supposed to be actually having a conversation about the new CBA.
Oh, Eric, when you said that, Daktari's face dropped.
Which one?
Well, yes, because if you do the math.
Now, if you do the math, and we're saying that budget cycle, not possible, things have already been written. Now, here we are saying governors and ministry gave you 2 months, knowing full well that there's really nothing that they're going to be able to
They'll
change.
be coming back to you on the 5th of March. They'll tell you we have 2 months
look,
to the end of the
budget cycle is coming to an end. As we speak, we're talking about budget for next year. So anything that we're going to talk about now is budget for next year. Abi?
Essentially, you're saying they're buying time.
So what does that mean? How does that look? Because if we're being practical here and looking at the numbers, these fellas told you yesterday. It's not yesterday. I mean Tuesday. Yesterday. Thursday. Day before yesterday, Wednesday. They said, give us 2 months, let's organize. Knowing full well that anything money, they will not be able to alter anything in this cycle. Say for an act of God, really. Knowing full well. But you still went ahead and said, okay, let's give you 2 months. Knowing that reality.
You see the question I would ask
doing
is,
anything is very slim. Why would you go ahead and accept this promissory note and say, all right, let's give you 2 months when you know?
But even if you go on strike,
whether you damned if you do, damned if you don't. You go on strike, don't go on strike. You're still going to get shafted, as from what I see. So what does it really look like? Is it something that can be waited for? You know? And this is the reality.
I was in the previous government were not able to ensure that they fulfill the mandate of the CBA.
We're not willing.
Today's Friday. One has to be a little polite. We're not able to. Okay. What is it about this new government that makes you think that they are different from the other government? And what is it that you think that makes it possible, even with the 60-day moratorium you've given them, that given that space of time, they will be able to come back with something that your members can actually accept and consider? This is at least some way forward, because the full implementation, as Eric put it correctly, that is not going to happen. That one simply won't. But what would be the acceptable minimum
for the things that can be done? Before you respond to that, let's hear from Geoffrey, who's calling in from Mombasa. Good morning, Geoffrey.
Good morning, Spice FM. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Well, I have a straight question to Dr. Taylor.
Ask him.
Just to find out, Mr. Dr. Taylor.
Yes.
How are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Well, my question is, do you have ethics when you sign for medical services?
What do you mean?
I want to know regarding medication or medical services is a very essential service that should not be put to a halt. And the moment you are on strike and people's lives are lost, how do you compensate to that after maybe your strike has been considered, and whatever you're agitating for has been considered.
Hippocratic oath.
Yes.
You have it. Does it apply in Kenya?
It actually applies worldwide. And if you look at in our suspension of the strike yesterday, what we really considered strongly was the Kenyans. And we thought as a union that it's not important and it's not vital, it's not necessary to take Kenyans through the pain that they experienced through the 100 days of doctor strike. But we have to be alive that the doctors that need to offer these services in the hospitals are human beings.
Are also Kenyans.
And they need to pay their bills. If a doctor has not been paid for 2 months or 3 months, and you expect the person to go to the hospital and treat a patient, he's also a patient.
And actually, if that doctor falls sick and they don't have medical cover, they become that
Kenyan. They become that Kenyan that can access the healthcare. So those are facts that need to be looked at. When you have an agreement that you'll be paid, have an agreement to be paid over this time and it's not honored, as an individual, even if you don't go on this, if you go on the strike, it is now the person who signed this who actually has a right to give you this health care that has denied these services. You've asked me about the 60 days moratorium that we've given to the government. If government says that this is essential service, as my brother has put it clearly, and in 60 days is essential service that you consider to be critical, nothing is being done, and then the workers then uphold this particular service that they need to offer, then it is the government on strike. It is now our brother need to put the government to account that why do you sign this document when you know very well it's an essential service and then that you go against it when those workers actually can go on strike. When you look at the right to strike as per the Constitution and the right to life, and also when with the ILO Convention, it brings it out that by the time you are going on strike, as much as we put it closely, you have tried all the possible avenues. If it were that our leaders were also seeking health care in these government public hospitals, if it were that the MCAs, the MPs, the governors were seeking health care there and sending their families there, then there will be much more change. Because then their interest will be there. But we have a scenario whereby all these parties go for big, hefty private covers that take them to private, bigger hospital that do not subject them to this particular scenario. So I want to tell my colleague or my friend there that on this process, we are actually helping him and the family that if they go to the hospitals, they get doctors, they get the drugs, they get the lab services. And that the mental torture that doctors will have when they want to treat you and they can't have the paraphernalia for the services is cured.
You know, there's a conversation that is sometimes lost, and actually you've brought it into focus, and that is the working conditions.
Yes.
You see, the Hippocratic oath about lives is not about the doctor reporting to work, but the doctor being also enabled to do what it is that they're trained to do. Now, part of the problem that arises is that they're not able to do what they're trained to do. So yes, you are there working, you would like to do what you're supposed to, but you can't. Salary aside, you simply can't. And in many cases, the argument is that this is the real problem. How are you going to be a health worker when you actually can't work? So, in essence, when you think of what you're calling a strike, this industrial action, when the government meets its end of the bargain, the citizenry benefit.
Yes.
But the argument has been the doctors benefit. Yes, they do benefit, but the citizenry benefits. Because the things that make health care workable and beneficial to the citizenry is then achieved.
You know what I fail to connect is the fact that among the most visible devolved functions is health, right? So there's health, there's agriculture, but health now is most visible because people come to a single place called a health facility to access a service, and they know that this service is being offered by my county government. It's very clear. The single largest budget item in most of the counties is still health. And yet, we have all these issues. We have a CBA that lasts 5 years and has not been implemented. We have issues with commodities in medical facilities that have a huge bill with the National Supplies Agency. We have doctors who have not been hired. They have been trained. They are out there. They haven't been hired. What's where's the disconnect? When a governor is campaigning, one of the things that they'll talk about is health, because they know that that's the one direct mandate that I have that I can use to entice the people to vote for me, and yet they don't implement it. Why? Is it that the people don't apply sufficient pressure to the governors? What is it?
I think a time has come that we need to put the governors and the leaders into account for the promised the public. But this part that you say that the health is the biggest budget within the counties, and then it's not really working. You see, we have a budget of, let's say, 100% in the whole country.
Yes.
But then only 15% of this budget goes to the counties. And then 50% or 6% of it, that now goes to all, the healthcare and all that. So it then means there's a problem from the top. There's a problem from the budget that goes down. And that's why we have been advocating that why should the governors subject themselves to this torture and frustration, and then just relieve this particular part of healthcare to be managed and funded by the national government from this 85%. Because ideally, the percentage of healthcare that we talk about, of 4.4%, goes to the Ministry of Health every year. And that's what should be there for capacity building and for training. And if you look at this project that we call the MES project, that was almost given to almost 219 hospitals.
Yes.
The machines that were there, they were run down by rust and everything. They were not functional. And the main thing is there were no personnel to operate the machine. So it was, I think, misuse of the public funds in that process. But if there is a concerted, harmonized process between the national government and the county to see that the machine that you're giving us, it follows with the personnel, it follows with the process. So then that will bring a change. So therefore, ideally, the county governors must also come alive to see what can work, what cannot work, openly and objectively, and then this can bring the conversation to bring a change to it. But when you insist that it is working and everybody in the hospital, we have enough doctors when it's not there, then that becomes a problem.
I think there's an unspoken system of behavior and expectance of whomever, because we talked about, you said it's been there since 1963. But we're not talking about anything new. We're only talking about new sheriffs coming into town, isn't it?
Yes.
So there's this unspoken expectance that they will come, make a promise. Everybody will say, okay, we'll come back. Then they know, these guys will make a little bit of noise, but then we'll come back and make a promise, and then we can hang on to the tails of that promise for the next 4.5 years. Before they know it, we're gone. Somebody else comes in. What am I saying? I think that, and shoot me if you must, but I think that the insistence on this position waxes weak at some point. That in as much as we see there is no goodwill to implement this thing, because look, if you don't have a healthy nation, and I always say, the nation at its weakest shows the vulnerability of the nation. Yeah, people are sick, the nation is sick. Yeah, people are hungry, the nation is hungry. And that's what we're talking about. But the seriousness with which we take it, that somebody can make a promise that as clear as the sun is shining, we know that in 2 months it is not going to happen. But we still take it and say, okay, let's see what they're going to do in 2 months. You know very well. They know that you know. You've just said it's new sheriffs in town in the same system. They know you know that nothing is going to come of this in 60 days. But because they know they can drag it along sometime, same system. It's the same thing that people have been doing. The same question that City was asking. What's the difference now with the people who were there before and the ones who've come in? They already know that
some of them are the same.
Exactly. The habitual behavior is that they'll come and make a promise on a Wednesday afternoon, and then Wednesday afternoon, 2 months down the line, they'll come and tell you, well, yeah, So in as much as we're saying they don't have the goodwill, on the other side as well, the insistence to make sure that there is excellence at that level is not strong enough, in my opinion.
Dr. How do you get our lawmakers to support your cause? Because the very people that you are fighting to ensure have a healthy health system are the people we elect to represent us, whether it's at the county assembly or at the national assembly. Let me ask the question again. How do you get these people to understand this? Because these are the people who vote for them.
Yes.
How do you get them to support the cause? Because they're the ones who make these laws. They're the ones who actually have the mandate and the power to bring to force the very things that you're talking about. If it's a question of tweaking the law so that the national government, Afia House, does more than what they're doing, or the services are at their doorstep, these are the people who can do it. You have a committee of health and parliament, and many of the people in that committee are medical doctors. It's not as though this is something they don't understand. They do. But my question again, even at the level of Senate, at the level of the Council of Governors, how do you get them to support this? Because if they support it, then the national government won't have a choice. But so long as it is KMPDU, have I got it right?
Yes.
Who are fighting this thing? You're a non-entity. They'll say these ones, okay. As Ndu put it, you'll be strung along.
You know, there's one aspect there that is a reality, and I think there's no any other better time that it came into fore than these previous days, where the information is coming down to the public to know why a patient who lives central and goes to KU cannot be admitted because they don't have funds, and therefore they have to rush to Kenyatta Hospital and they die on the way. We have cases of about 6 mothers who died in Kakamega because they could not get the most basic emergency drugs in the facilities to have them to get the services to manage it. We have situations like the Master Travis, who, if those hospitals were working, as much as the case was very severe, the intervention was much earlier, but then they have to rise to Kenyatta. These were just a few of the epitome of the cases that exist. But then that is the scenario in the whole country, if these things can come to fore. And I like the fact that the Senate was investigating this matter, and they have investigated previous matters.
Don't hold your breath. But the Senate is investigating. Don't hold your breath.
But that's what you were asking. How can you get them to...
Yes.
Don't you think it works? At least it's a step in the right direction.
Rather, it's politicized, but then they were discussing the matter, and then they were seeing the scenarios. You get the point. And then one thing that we kept asking them while this was being discussed, you realize Mama Lucy Hospital has been working for all these years without any government funds on it. It's running. It's like a car that has been bought with no fuel.
How then does it run, Daktari?
It has been only running with the FIA funds, with the money within it. So there is no, and that's why if you go to Malusi until this point, you'll find as much as it has over 200 beds, you'll realize that the admission has or double the number.
That's close to 500 people.
Close to 500 plus patients. So that's why this government, I think the new one, if based on these reports and based on the scenarios, there must really be a deliberate aspect to change it. And these are things that are happening in all the places. While the people that are investigating, like the Senate and the likes, do not really get services in these facilities. So you see, until the public and everybody gets empowered to understand that it's our right as per Article 43 to access healthcare. And if I go to the hospital and I don't see a doctor, I have a right to question. If I go to the hospital, I've been told to buy the drugs outside, then I should ask, where is the taxpayer's money? If I go to the hospital, there is no lab functional, I should not keep quiet, because these same individuals will come to ask for the votes. So as long as that happens, and as long as there's a public understanding of these issues, then the members of parliament, the MCAs, then will come to see the value of it. Because within those particular counties, if something happens to an MCA's relatives, they call directly the medical superintendent.
Oh, yes.
They call the chief officers. They want ambulances to be released. But then it should be the same for those who do not have a relation to the MCAs.
Who needs that.
Yes. And so once that understanding is in the fore with every person, then there will be the need to actually invest and change the healthcare.
You know, I know I sound a little negative. I sound negative because I am negative. You see, the issue of that is behind the question I asked, how do you get these bodies to be interested, is from the understanding that very many of the groupings of individuals who comprise this, what we call our elected leadership, their actions get me to understand that they believe that solving a problem involves talking about it.
Yes.
Solving a problem involves having a committee that looks into it, investigates, comes with a report. That's it. And that doesn't do a thing.
Yes. It's politicizing.
Apart from having meetings where perhaps a little allowance is paid and you talk about it and you gather information. Now, the benefit may be if they actually do what they say they're going to do, there will be a report that one can actually act on if one wishes to act on. But we have so many of these reports.
Yes.
We're not discussing something that we don't know about. We're not talking about something that is fresh, new, something we've never encountered. We've encountered these things from antiquity, from time immemorial. So, again, the question has to be asked, what do we need to do so that these people who are elected to ensure that the very things that we're talking about are actually effected. How do we get them to actually understand this dire need? How do we get them to understand? Because it is evident they don't. They talk about understanding it, and that's just about the sum total of what they do. They talk about it.
I think it's got to come down to public pressure.
Absolutely.
What Dr. you're saying, as long as we start now connecting, I go to a public facility, I should get the services. I should find a medical officer here, I should find a healthcare worker, I should find a lab. If this facility ought to have a lab, I should find. If we start saying, no, I need to find these things here, then the pressure goes into the governor's office and he knows, okay, I can't just be saying this is devolved and it's not working. It's not working. It's got to work. And why is it not working is because of this, and the other.
Eric, you know how very right you are. You are so right. You are so very right. Because the current government the government we have now understood this principle. And the entire campaign was based on the people.
Yes. So people driven.
Yes, they understood this perfectly, which also means that when there is a pushback from these same people,
they're going to sit up and do something about it.
They will listen.
Absolutely.
Listen. Dr. Ari, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
And let's keep talking. When you get updates from those stakeholders, let us know, let's discuss them, let's enlighten the people so that we all walk the journey together.
Yes. And people should know that the health is their right.
Indeed.
Yes.
Completely. Dr. Davji Atela is the Secretary General of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union. We've been talking about the plight of healthcare workers and the healthcare system in the country. The planned strike by doctors has been suspended for 60 days until we hear what the government comes up with, and then we'll hear from the doctors after that. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today and the entire of this week. We'll be back next week on Monday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Remember, Sunday at 8 p.m. watch Maisha Magic Plus, John Alan Namu's new series. It's called what? The Last Door. It premieres on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV. DSTV, it's your moment. And also by Kiwi.
By Kiwi, step up and shine. School fees the demand is coming, eh? Here's an opportunity for you to get the business done. Knock it one more time.
And
buy Kiwi shoe polish black specifically at any of your supermarkets today, and you win airtime bundles immediately when you send that code to *459 *5#, and then you get a chance to enter into the draw to win 35,000 shillings going towards school fees.
Have a lovely weekend. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your life